Yeah.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, June 10th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1041.
This is No Agenda.
In the land of the blind, he with one eye is king. And broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's kind of bright out, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Good comeback. How's the new bionic eye? How is it?
It's still healing.
So if you don't mind, we just need to indulge a little bit since you did tell us about this procedure on the show on the last episode. You had cataract surgery. Take us through it. Do you come into the office? Are you nervous?
No, I'm not nervous at all, actually.
You were up late.
Irked.
And you were up late. You were up until like 12:30, 1 o'clock. Because I got email from you. I was like, holy shit, he was still up around midnight, maybe 12:30.
Yeah.
No, you had to be in the office at 8.
I have to do this show at 7. I'm up till midnight.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so you're irked. You're not nervous. You're irked. You're mad. You're pissed.
Look, I have to have this procedure at all.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
And they put you under. I'm going to actually write a giblet about it.
Yeah. So that means you can't tell us.
No, I could tell you, but it's kind of boring.
Well, I have a few questions. Did they give you like a little sedative, a little happy pill beforehand?
No, they don't give you a happy pill, but they do give you an IV.
Yeah, so that's no good.
What do you mean that's no good?
Well, that would irk me. Needle in my hand.
Yeah, well, especially since I never had one before, and the woman's asking me.
Wait a minute. Oh, you're like me. You've never had an IV. Oh, and so that must have sucked.
It actually turns out not to be a big deal.
Oh. Okay.
In fact.
Right.
But it's just like, you're a virgin. You feel like, some sort of teenager. I said, I feel like a cheerleader to the woman. Right over her head.
Like, what? Shut up, old man. Hey, we got a crazy old one here. Bed 15.
So,
all right. So then they take you in. I had laser cutting. Yeah, hold on. So no, stop. They put you in a chair. Do they strap you in? Are your hands strapped? No. You're just sitting there. Is your head locked in a vice?
No.
What?
No.
So then they put the clamp in your eye socket.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that.
Okay.
And it usually takes a couple of rounds.
Can't
quite
get it right.
It's got small eyes. So they get you. You just lay there, and then they
hold on.
They numb the eye so it can't move.
Right. So they put some drops.
To you not to move.
They put some drops in your eyes.
They put a million drops in your eyes. It's ridiculous. So they put a bunch of drops, and your eyeball's stuck. And
now at this point, do you just want to just close your eye and just rub your eyelid? Is that how?
No, you don't have any sense of feeling there.
Oh, okay.
And you can't see much either. So. Right. And then they put this device on your eyeball, and then you see it.
Yeah,
you can see. It's very. If you know what it feels like, although I've never experienced it, I don't think. It feels like an alien kind of when the aliens capture you and take you to the flying saucer.
Right. So you have kind of that.
If you watch the movie or the series, and everyone should watch this, it's called People of Earth. It is the best thing on television.
And so you have kind of that blurry vision, and you see the alien figures kind of outline hovering above you.
Yeah, something like that.
And then you wake up and you're like, oh, my butt hurts.
You never fall asleep, so you never wake up.
Right. Yeah, but it's hazy. Okay, and now do you hear the lasers? They're going zzz, zzz, zzz,
yeah, the laser makes these funny sounds.
And did you see, was it like smoke coming off your eyeball? Or
you hear me. Which again I can see misinterpreting for aliens.
Yeah.
In fact, for all I know, I was actually captured by aliens, and this never happened. This is the cover story.
Yeah, sure. Sure it is. All right. So then, and how long did the whole thing take?
25 minutes, maybe.
Oh, that's not too bad. And now, at any point while you were there, did they say, we're going to need a little deposit? Did they? Was there any deposit noise?
No, it was nothing like that.
All right. Good. And so then they put do you have a patch? What do you have on your eye now?
Nothing.
Oh, you just walk right out and straight in sunglasses? Yeah. They recommend anything?
Well, no, you got to have sunglasses because your eyes are dilated, so you got to. But yeah.
And did you drive home yourself?
No, they won't let you because they gave you a jolt of some crazy knockout pill through the IV that I didn't even notice.
Oh, hold on.
I wouldn't call it would say it was fun. Hold
on. When did this happen? Just before the procedure?
Right away, right when they start.
Oh, when
there's an anesthesiologist and he's. What?
No. So it wasn't when you got the IV, but once you were in the operating room.
Yeah, the anesthesiologist comes up and he says, "Okay, here we go."
And what was it? What was it?
I asked him specifically because I need it for the book. I'm going to have to ask again some verbena or I don't know what it was. I'd never heard of these things.
But it wasn't groovy. It was no good.
No, it wasn't. I didn't notice it was any fun.
Oh,
I didn't go woo. I'll have to come back with my other eye.
All right, and so how is the vision now that you have the Bausch & Lomb lens?
It's blurry.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to take a while to settle in, so I'm...
all right. Am I doing the spreadsheet today, or is that not effective?
I can do it fine. It's actually, I'll say, even though it's a little blurry, it is 1,000 times better than it was, because with the other, I couldn't see anything out of that. I mean, just a big blur.
I feel that you should at least be able to deduct your actual deductible from your tax return.
I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not. I only paid for the upgrade to the better quality lens.
Oh, okay.
The rest of it seems to be covered by this whatever, however covered.
So well, good. So I'm glad it went okay. I was thinking about you on Friday. Like, I don't want to ask anything, so I'll just hopefully he's alive on Sunday, and then we'll just get the whole story. So I was trying to be a dick.
This is like an assembly line thing. This particular operation, and I guess the millions of them are done every year. And
mechanical stuff.
It takes forever to what?
I was going to say that mechanical stuff. I think modern medicine is very good. Broken bones, heart stuff, this kind of procedure. I think we're really good at it. I
think they've got a lot of it down.
Yeah. It's like it is like a mechanic shop. Just go in, fix them all. Now, did the doctor at any point hover over you, look at the other eye, and go tisk tisk tisk?
No, I don't know. No, the doctor was too busy to even talk much.
Oh.
What you're thinking of is it's like you go to the dentist.
Yeah, that's.
I don't care what crown you've got; it needs replacing.
Yeah, just little worried about this one over here.
Let's put a new one in.
Now, any timeline on when this should be working? When it should be less blurry?
A month.
Oh wow, that's a long time. Okay.
Yeah, and I got all these drops I got to put in my eye 4 times a day.
And so you can't operate an automobile then for a month?
Sure, I can. I can see better than I did before the operation. You're like my daughter. Put your dark glasses on. Put a patch on.
Oh, she loves you. She's running.
Don't go down the stairs. Don't go in the wine cellar.
Very sad news this evening.
You can't go into the wine cellar. You can't go into. She can't go into the wine cellar, Dad. It's dusty down there.
Mr. Dvorak was found in his wine cellar by his daughter, the dog walker. Very sad news tonight. All right. Well, glad you're here. Glad you're good. This is good news. And I do want to advise everyone that listening to the No Agenda Show generally causes healthy thoughts, happiness, and a toolkit of life-saving tips in the information apocalypse. Some listeners, however, will experience anger, dismay, and outrage, which has been proved to be detrimental to your health. If you experience any of these symptoms, please stop listening immediately and return to Reddit.
Woo! Punchline.
Yeah. Hey, come on. I wrote that myself this morning.
You did?
Yeah, nice and early. All right,
good.
Let's just get straight into the conspiracy theory of the week. Anthony Bourdain.
Oh yeah, I have clips.
All right, what you got?
Well, I got 2 clips. I have the Suicides Up. This is just the kind of overview clip. I just think it was on ABC. This is called the Bourdain Suicides Up. I just thought it was kind of interesting backgrounder.
Window and say, "Hey, life is good."
And you don't.
No.
Today, Bourdain is being remembered for nourishing souls all around the world.
Incredible meal. So happy.
Simply by pulling up a chair, trying something new, and breaking bread together.
And Lindsay Davis joins us now live. Lindsay, this is the second high-profile suicide this week. Of course, first designer Kate Spade, now Anthony Bourdain. And the CDC is out with alarming new numbers that suicides are dramatically up over the last 2 decades. But you have some encouraging news tonight.
Yeah, that's right. I want to give you one more statistic, Cecilia. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline tells us that calls are up 25% in just the last few days. They're saying that they believe more people are reaching out, asking for help because of increased awareness. So I want to pass along that number to you. 1-800-273-8255. Again.
Yeah, this was the main thing on the Socialnets that I saw. Of course, I'm not on Facebag anymore, but on Twitter, everybody tweeting out the suicide prevention hotline, which apparently is good news that the more calls are up. So I guess people aren't more depressed. I don't know. But, to me, it's a cop-out. Why don't you look at somebody and or how you speak to them or whatever you think is going on? Have a chat with somebody. Don't just tweet after the next celebrity has taken their life. Don't just tweet the prevention hotline. And another thing that is very irksome to me.
But I'm going to stop you. You're right. And in fact, the hotline is more than a cop-out. It's like, I don't have to deal with it. Why don't you call this number?
Yeah, here's a number for you to call. What these people, and I'm going to remind everybody of the Lost Connections book. I put a link in the show notes. And you've got to read this book, which it really explains a lot about what's going on, certainly with the crisis of depression. But part of that is the loss of connection. We're not talking to anybody about how you feel on the inside anymore, if at all. And also, we need, in reporting this kind of stuff, we need to stop another cop-out. Yes, he had demons. Oh, yes, we all know. Fuck his what were the demons? Tell me, was alcohol? Was it drugs? What kind of drugs? Was he depressed? What kind of was he on depression medication? Stop with this demons. Demons. Yeah, that's another. It really makes me mad. And I'll say, it was a bit of a shock to me. I watched Bourdain's show. I liked his show. I watched his Vietnam show. Like, hey, we should go to Vietnam. It looks like it's fun over there. The guy actually had a lot of good stuff going on. He had a smoking hot girlfriend, who we by coincidence didn't even know that she was his girlfriend, the Asia Argento.
Who was the one who you played a clip of?
Yeah, in Cannes, that she said Harvey Weinstein raped me, and there's more here, and we know who you are. Which, of course, kicked off the massive conspiracy theories. But what's your 2017 clip of Bourdain before I go any further?
This is okay. I'm going to be on the side, and I'm doing this. I don't know if I'm completely doing it because I think it's true. You've done this yourself. I'm not sure that it's true, or I'd like to believe it's true, or I think it's funny if it's true, or I think it's pathetic if it's true, or it's just interesting that it might be true. I'm not sure where I really stand, as you can tell. But I on the side that somebody in the Hillary assassination group took him out because they hung him.
I like, that acronym is HAG, just so you know. Good one.
The Hillary assassination group took him out for whatever reason. And here's my genesis. I'll give you the genesis. First of all, I read a couple of these things retweeting his tweet about how he was being hassled by the Hillary crowd.
Right.
And I looked at the dates. The dates didn't match. I didn't think it was true. I sent a negative tweet. So this is bullshit. It's a hoax. And then I saw something else with a different date. I looked it up. I have Bourdain. I downloaded Bourdain's history on Twitter back about a year. And there it was. And he's bitching about Hillary. Right. And I guess even further into 2017, he's bitching about her even more. And then he's hanging out with this woman who's bitching about Harvey Weinstein.
Right. Well, and he was specifically bitching about Hillary. How really she didn't know Harvey Weinstein was a rapist. And then someone from the Hillary side said, why don't you eat
you're stepping on my clip.
Sorry.
And then my wife, of course, doesn't believe any of this. She says that he was a heroin addict. That was a known fact. Mm-hmm. And a lot of heroin addicts, if they get back on heroin, and he's spending a lot of time, and he goes to Southeast Asia, it wouldn't be that difficult to do. They get very depressed, and it's possible that this is what it was, but she does not buy any of this. And I said, the guy's making millions of dollars. He knows There's no reason that he would. There's nothing. And there's a note. I mean, it's ridiculous. He left a 13-year-old behind, which is irresponsible. So although this is weak. I mean, I don't really have anything except just a generalized, thought about the Clinton hit list. And so I found this clip, and I thought this could be a genesis of something.
I'm Carly Shimkus with Fox 411. Anthony Bourdain is slamming Hillary Clinton for her comments about the Harvey Weinstein sexual assault scandal. The celebrity chef and TV personality condemned a CNN interview with Clinton where she claimed to have no prior knowledge of the allegations against Weinstein. In a series of tweets, Bourdain expressed his disappointment and anger towards the former Secretary of State, saying Hillary's interview with Fareed Zakaria was shameful in the deflection and its disingenuousness. He continued, adding, know what Hillary Clinton is not? She's not stupid or unsophisticated about the world. The Weinstein story has been out there for years. In her interview, Clinton said she was just sick, adding, I was shocked. I was appalled. There was a different side of a person who I and many others had known in the past. Bourdain's girlfriend, actress Asia Argento, is one of the many women who have come out against Weinstein, alleging the movie mogul forced himself on her in a hotel room in 1997.
So I thought that would be a good way to get the attention of the assassination group.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sticking with this. I think it's a possibility. And I know it's a little crackpotty, which I'm not supposed to do, but I did it. And it adds to the list. It's been boring. We haven't really been able to put too many people on that list.
Yeah. And when I saw these tweets, I too thought, well, of course he was, I don't know how long he'd be going out with Asia Argento.
Well, this clip was from about, I believe it was in October, whenever he did that Zakaria thing, which was, I think it was in maybe September.
So he was probably seeing her. He was probably seeing her then. And so, he was all lit about it. So that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking now, of course, the French press actually reported that he was found hanging. No further detail than that. But that's, and by the way, I hate to do this, but I believe the rule is if it's curtains, they're hung. If it's a person, they're hanged. Just to be a stickler about it.
I believe it's true, but nobody follows that. It's like chickens laying people lie.
It's not really,
There's all these little things you can do.
It's kind of inappropriate to bring up. But, anyway, but
at least we know.
We know. At least we're aware.
Can't write us.
We're aware of the grammar. And I was like, the only thing is if Haig, the Hillary assassination group, if they're going to kill him, I mean, the easiest way would be, particularly, on these types of trips that he's doing, small aviation. I'm sure there was maybe some small aircraft involved in some of his travel at least. But probably, how about food poisoning? That would be funny. Just have him die of food poisoning.
Pure assassin, that is actually. If there's humor in that business,
yes, of course,
that would be kind of funny. But that's not true if you're kind of want to get someone on the list as a warning to others,
right? And
assassin and hanging, it seems to be, and then it's the suicides. And so you suicide them because that is the most question. What happened really? And it brings up these conspiracy theories. It does naturally form. The unlikely with food poisoning or the small, for some reason, except for us two, nobody buys into the plane crash as a murder.
Right. But we do.
Yeah, we do. We do with Stevens, the guy from Alaska.
It's a great way to do it. So what I'm interested in.
By the way, to stop you again, that specific way was mentioned very prominently in the Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
True. In the original, so in the first one. Don't go for the second book. Just stay with the first. So when I'm hearing this, I'm like, okay, the guy, it was immediately conflated by the media with Kate Spade, who we know was depressed, who we know was on antidepressants. And by the way, I finally figured out the doorknob hanging thing. It's kind of gruesome, but we've asked several times. Robin Williams also hung himself on the doorknob. How do you do that? And the answer is much simpler because you have two sides of the door. you wrap your rope or scarf or belts or whatever it is around the doorknob, hang it over the other side of the door, and then you have a perfect mechanism. Yeah, I know. But it's handy as a plan B, just to know. But it's kind of gruesome. But I want, if the guy, and looking through his history, the addiction was actually quite a while ago. I think he says it was 20 years ago. He does like to drink, and he says, I don't do it on, I don't get completely blotto on screen, but I do like to sometimes just release the pressure valve and drink. I'm like, oh, that could be something. But still, drunk and then killing yourself. I don't know. But so then I'm thinking, if he was truly depressed, was he on antidepressants? We're never going to find out. And but it was bothersome to me that the M5M immediately put it together with Spade, because I just didn't get that impression from Bourdain. But yeah, depression is a real thing. But it seemed like his demons, because they couldn't actually say what was going on with him, but his demons were more drug addiction. The depression, not so much written about that with him. And then producer Daniel from Coos Bay, Oregon, found it. He found it. We have the best producers in the universe. In 2011, Bourdain was interviewed by Marc Maron on his WTF podcast. So to honor Bourdain, he released that episode right after, a day, I think, after Bourdain died. But then, and this is what my producer noticed, or our producer, the episode was re-released. So it was put back on the feed, this 2011 interview. Then it was published again, and he noticed the show ended several minutes earlier than the original. Now, why is that? So he went looking, he did the work, and he found the piece that was removed from that original 2011 interview. I think it explains exactly what happened, and you will never hear this on the M5M for very obvious reasons.
Now, in terms of your past and how you live now, like you still, you're not smoking now, but you did for a long time.
Yeah, 38 years.
Yeah, I'm taking these nicotine lozenges.
Well, I was at Chantix. I was taking that make some people stabby, or suicidal. Works for me. If I start cheating, I go back on.
Here's what happened in my scenario. He's in France. Everybody's smoking up a storm because it's France. He starts smoking. Like, oh, crap. I really don't want to smoke. Goes back on the Chantix. And anything can happen from there, as we have proven multiple times on this show. And why else was this taken out? Purely for the sensitivity of the word suicide is in there? Maybe.
I think, first of all, let me start by saying, I think it's abhorrent that it was taken out and then a jimmied up, edited version of the show was then put out there for people so they could lament his death.
Yep.
So much for the honesty in the media, even at the podcasting level.
Yep.
Secondly, of course, great work by our producer. That's fantastic. And clip of the day for you and him for digging that up, because it may or may not be it, but good enough.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I know you're so anxious to get that.
I was trying to time you in the intro. I didn't know that you were going to keep talking.
Okay, I can step on it. I don't care.
Just to remind everybody, here are some of the side effects as per the Chantix commercial.
If you notice agitation, depressed mood, or changes in behavior that are not typical for you, or if you develop suicidal thoughts or actions, stop taking Chantix and call your doctor right away. Some patients have had these symptoms while taking or after stopping Chantix. Talk to your doctor about any history of depression or other mental health problems which may worsen while taking Chantix. Tell your doctor which medicines you're taking, as they may work differently when you quit smoking. Chantix dosing may be different if you have kidney problems. The most common side effect is nausea. Patients also reported trouble sleeping and vivid, unusual, or strange dreams. Until you know how Chantix may affect you, use caution when driving or operating machinery.
I feel really bad, but I think that's what happened. And I'm sure since this was 2008, FDA issued a public safety advisory about the drug causing psychiatric symptoms, including suicidal thoughts, suicidal tendencies. Since Chantix's approval in May 2006 until the end of December 2007, the FDA had received 227 domestic reports of suicidal acts, thoughts, or behaviors, 397 cases of possible psychosis, and 525 reports of hostility or aggression, with many of the patients reporting hallucinations and thoughts of killing people. This also included 28 suicides. And we have story after story of, I woke up 3 days later naked in my neighbor's backyard. I'd shot at his door. I mean, this is a bad drug. And going off it is also dangerous. You can't just quit Chantix safely. They also say that. Don't just stop taking it. You got to talk to your doctor, because it is some form of, I believe it's a pure SSRI, that is telling your brain, hey, you don't want cigarettes. You want to kill people. I mean, that's the side effect of what it's telling your brain, but that's what it's doing. And it fits perfectly. It's not as great conspiracy theory of Hag going after him, but it fits perfectly with what we have of evidence on hand. And it's very, very, very sad. And regardless of how dangerous smoking is, this drug, I don't think, is much better.
So let's go. Who is our producer again who dug this up? And we went
to Daniel from Coos Bay, Oregon.
Now, Daniel, so he saw this is good sleuthing, because what
fantastic.
He did.
This is Nancy Drew stuff.
He took. Yeah, well, there's something of an insult. That's why you're a big Nancy Drew fan.
Yeah, I've read them all.
So he looked at the thing and he says, okay, well, there's this. He listened to it, I'm sure. And then for some reason, he had the sense to note to check some.
Well,
which in this case was nothing more than the time of the episode.
Well, he saw that the episode was reloaded, and I don't know the details of it. He'll follow up with us. I think what he did, and this has happened to us many times, when you mess with the RSS feed, a lot of stuff happens. A lot of unintended consequences if you have to change something or refresh it or republish it. And so whatever, got his attention, he's like, oh, this is the new, maybe the 2 episodes came out back to back. I'm not quite sure, because he had already downloaded one. That's probably what happened. You saw the 2.
Did he have the other one?
Yeah.
Was the old one in an archive someplace?
No, they republished the 2011. So that would come on as a new episode on the feed. And then he had that downloaded, and then a new one showed up. Probably the other one was omitted, but it was still in his list. He's looking at the list. He sees 2 of the same episodes with the same naming convention, but he sees the times different. That's what I think happened.
Well, the question, but this kind of, I don't know if you're understanding my point.
No.
Which is, where did he get the original?
The original was republished first. And then
I'm sorry. So the original was republished, and then somebody
said,
called someone and said, hey, get this. Can you take this out, please?
Who are Mark Maron's advertisers? He has advertisers.
He does use advertising. But he doesn't advertise Chantix or anything.
How do you know?
Bugs that I know of.
How do you know?
Oh,
I wouldn't say that. Well, someone can figure that out. He might have.
We're done with.
Look, he's done this. He's done the super beats.
He did the job, and he got. It's a better theory than the Hag theory. I agree.
Yeah, it's a sad.
It does make sense, and it also fits into both both the Hag theory and this theory fit nicely into the no agenda worldview.
Yeah, of course, because we've been.
But we can't lose. It's a win-win.
There you go. We've been tracking Chantix from early days with the crazy reports of people going nuts. Well,
that's even more tragic then.
Yes, it is. Anyway, but thank you, Daniel. We have the best producers in the universe for sure. I was talking to Tina about that the other day. Yeah, I said, look at the staff they got. I said, yeah, it's true, but we have more producers than anybody.
We have more
anybody.
Producers.
Yeah.
Because people, I was thinking about this the other day, and as a matter of fact, coincidentally, about the number of people that really contributed to this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason is because we're the only show that allow people to contribute. And we encourage it.
And take it seriously and sift through it and pay attention.
We take it very seriously. Well, it's somewhat self-sifting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most people don't send us anything. I mean, when somebody like Daniel finds this little anomaly, he knows it's going to go on.
Right.
So the producers themselves are invested psychologically, so they kind of know what we need and what we can go for. We had a good note from Illuminatia on the DNA fast track.
I put it in the rapid DNA, and I put it in the show notes. Also, we might as well I won't read the whole thing, but I would like to read the opening of this note, because we were talking about the rapid DNA and how accurate is it? It's now in law. Police, law enforcement can now use this, which gives you a DNA match in mere minutes. And this is from an anonymous producer, and he says, "I'd like to stay anonymous. I'm a longtime listener. I've been a forensic DNA analyst for over 18 years. I've qualified as a forensic DNA expert in court over 100 times and have validated a rapid DNA instrument to test crime scene evidence samples and cheek swabs." And he has the whole rundown on this thing. But he does at one point say it's basically you put DNA in, swab in, answer out, I think is what they say in the business. So you throw the swab in, the answer comes out. And he says if you have enough DNA and it's pure DNA, such as, what does he call it? Pure? It has to be blood. It has to be semen, unmixed semen, a swab. So saliva works. Cigarettes, gum also works. But they do have to have a large enough sample to be able to match it to a DNA.
Well, good. We got some questions then. What's a large enough sample? What about sweat? Does sweat count?
I don't believe so. But that's a good question.
I want to know about sweat. I want to know about sample size in particular.
Yeah.
And I also like to know the methodology, having been an analytical chemist, the methodology for getting the DNA out of a wad of chewing gum.
He says we do not.
And how old can the gum be? Can it be dried old gum?
Good question. And the cigarette, does it work on all, like filters as well? We do not test samples where we can't take multiple samples, so the crime lab tests the main crime scene sample in the traditional way for upload into CODIS, the National and State DNA Database. The rapid DNA profile and any remaining evidence is only used for a quick investigative lead. We don't accept samples that could be mixtures, more than one person mixed together. If we do obtain a mixture, we do not interpret the mixture but call the results inconclusive. The mixture study did not perform as well as traditional testing, so therefore we don't accept results from mixed DNA samples. We don't accept DNA samples from low-quantity sources like door handles or worn clothing. The instrument is designed for high concentrations of DNA samples.
Okay, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
The door handle thing brings us to next. And now the thing that, and the only reason I'm mentioning this because there's a thing called the National Database what is the National Database of Digital Images? I can't remember the name of this thing. National Integrated Ballistic Information System. The reason I'm saying this, asking these questions, is because of what we see on television.
Because you're under investigation? Is that why you're asking?
Because what we see, because I want to write a play. Because what we see on television, which the door handle comes to mind. Also, the guy here, have a glass of water. We've got you now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I want to know about the validity of that particular methodology because, as somebody pointed out, and we've pointed out on the show, it's poisoning the jury pool of the country.
Yes, it is.
Misinformation.
Yes.
And it brings me to a clip I have, or just a short part of a clip on the National Integrated Ballistic Information Database, which apparently has been in business for a number of years, and it's like the cops are too lazy to use it because they have to collect cartridges. They've spent cartridges because this thing can figure out
what gun it came from.
Yeah, what gun it came from.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't. This is a local report because they asked all the local agencies. And the reason, again, I'm talking about this because of the jury pool being poisoned by television drama. When in fact the reality of police work is a lot different on the street than you'd expect it to be, and we don't, this one of our that producer who does expert witnessing on the subject probably knows more about the slipshod manner in which things are done more than anything else. But let's play this.
Entered right now into that database, leaving data holes that make the system ineffective.
It was commonly taking several months to up to a year to test firearms in our firearms unit.
Marissa McCown is supervising deputy district attorney in Santa Clara County, where guns used to sit on the shelf of their crime lab untested for up to a year. Officials worry that meant some crimes here may have gone unsolved. We discovered it's not just in Santa Clara County either.
Currently, not every jurisdiction in California puts information into NIBIN.
We sent out a survey to 20 different California crime labs. Of the 12 labs that replied, an average of 3 months went by before any ballistic testing was done and the results entered into NIBIN. One lab had a backlog of up to 4 years. At least 3 of the crime labs don't enter evidence into NIBIN at all. We also found another problem. Many local law enforcement agencies send just a fraction of the guns and casings they recover in for NIBIN testing.
If we aren't sending all guns to the lab, then our murder weapon in San Jose might be sitting on your shelf in Modesto and vice versa.
This information allows us to tactically target the shooters.
ATF Special Agent John Durastanti says NIBIN only works if every casing is entered every time.
And if we can do it quickly, can we link otherwise unassociated events together?
That's why Santa Clara County's DA office has put renewed emphasis to now clear their backlog and enter every casing, every bullet, and every gun in their evidence room.
Our lab has made tremendous progress. We have no backlog on our casings, and for our firearms, they've dramatically decreased the backlog.
Now, there is some federal grant money available to help smaller local police agencies join the NIBIN program.
In there, he mentions, he said they sent out these requests to 27 labs, 12 responded, which brought the numbers down even more. In other words, with the exception apparently of Santa Clara County, nobody's following up on any of this stuff. There, you have the same, let's take guns off the street, let's do this, let's do that. But what you can do and what's available, insofar as resources are concerned, are not being utilized. Nobody cares. In one part of the report, they talked about if there's a shooting, the police have to identify, and they do this with little paint. They paint circles around each casing, and then they have to collect all the casings. And it turns out that most of I don't want to collect all these casings. There's like 100 of them. What good's that going to do?
None.
Anyway,
none. No good. No nothing.
It's kind of pathetic.
Hey, just I don't want to get off topic here, but of course the producers are now working overtime, finding tweets in Bourdain's Twitter feed about Chantix. Chantix and Malarone do not mix well. What is Malarone or Malarone?
I don't know. Do you spell it?
Yeah, Malarone. And the second tweet is, have you ever tried Chantix? It makes some people stabby, but worked for me.
That was a Bourdain tweet?
Yeah. So what is this? Malarone tablets. What is this?
I don't know. What does it do? I can't tell. Can I drink alcohol while taking Malarone?
Let's see. Tablets. And what is this?
Here, I get one. Drugs.com. That is the place.
Oh, it's an anti-malarial indicator.
Oh, yes, an anti-malarial drug.
Right. Oh, so he was, geez.
He probably took that a few times because he went to the, he went to Southeast Asia bush.
My goodness. All right, sorry. Didn't want to get us off track there.
All right, well, that's good. Now I'm done with the other thing.
Oh, okay.
I think we've at least given people something that they're never going to get anyplace else. That's for sure. And I wish they'd appreciate it more.
Now, yes, I'd like to lead you into the G7, and I know you have clips and stuff, so I'm just going to play 2 quickies just to get us kind of prepped and into it. The first one was without a doubt, because really we saw him with a impromptu press conference on the White House lawn, getting ready to get into Marine One, which was, 15, 20 minutes. It was quite long. My favorite part from that was this line.
Whether you like it or not, and it may not be politically correct, but we have a world to run. And in the G7, which used to be the G8, They threw Russia out. They should let Russia come back in.
I just like that we have a world to run here, people. Step back from my flying machine. I need to put my cape on. I'm going. But then the way the media obsessed over this. Now, there's this long walk that Trump had to do. You see the beautiful water and the green grass, and it's just so fantastic where they are. And he's walking up to meet Trudeau, and John King from CNN is doing it like it's a golf game with Tiger Woods getting ready to tee up.
I said she's been told not to fly for a month. So the President of the United States walking in solo here. This is just outside of Quebec. It's a beautiful sight, as you can see the lake in the backdrop there. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau about to shake the President's hand. These two have sparred fiercely in the last 72 to 100 hours, mostly over trade, also over the broader question. Watch the handshake.
Watch the handshake.
Frankly, aghast that they have been called a national security risk to the United States.
I love that, too. I don't think at any point has anyone said Canada is a national security risk, but okay. Thanks, John King.
Well, Trump said that it's a national security issue about the steel, which was never explained by the media. It was very misleading.
Yes.
He did explain it at the press conference at one of his he had a press conference at G7, which I recorded many clips from. And he claims that because it affects our budget,
right,
our balance, and the balance is what the national security threat was. But no. That's not the way Trudeau saw it. And so he thought that
hold on.
Canadians terrorists.
I heard it even differently. My understanding was it's a national security threat because we need to have our own steel and aluminum in case we are at war.
Yes.
And and Canada says
that is the old. That's the reason when I first heard that. That's the first thing I thought.
Yeah. I thought that was the reason.
Thing I thought, and I don't see how you could misinterpret that. But the media never said. The media is going along with it because it's a good slam on Trump. So let's just go with that.
Yep.
But when Trump discusses it, he says the national security threat is not that we can have our own aluminum. He never said that. He said it's because the amount of money that we're blowing on a trade deficit is the threat to national security.
Well, that brings me to an interim clip because I don't exactly understand what you said about how the trade deficit is.
Okay, well, can I explain it real quick?
Can I play a quick clip of a millennial trying to explain why it's bullshit first?
Yes, please.
This is MSNBC, Millennial Economics 101.
Peppered throughout his comments this morning was this through line of trade and tariffs and what he'd like to see, this focus on the trade deficit.
Yeah.
Square that with what he's saying about inverting, changing the international order in the way that he is.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the president has this idea that the trade deficit is some sort of zero-sum game, that if you have a trade deficit, that's like you losing money, which is not what it is. I mean, a trade deficit fundamentally means we send little pieces of paper with writing on them around the world, and people send us products in exchange for those. So actually, in a sense, we're coming out ahead.
Okay. I knew this couldn't be right, and I'm glad I'm here for you to explain to me why not.
Well, that's got nothing to do with what I was going to discuss. But this kid, whoever it is, he's one of the let's mock species. The paper money is bullcrap. What he just said to me was paper money is just bullcrap, something you print on, and you send this paper money, this stupid paper money doesn't really mean anything, over to somebody else. They take it in, and then they give us stuff.
Oh,
so we're coming out ahead.
Because we're just printing stupid little money. Oh, okay. Yeah. Got it. Makes nothing but sense.
Isn't that what he said?
That's exactly what he said. Yes. I guess that's not what a trade balance
version of the trade deficit.
Explain.
The trade deficit is all we have to do is print more stupid little money.
Yeah. All right.
The idea is that if the country becomes unstable monetarily, we go into another, some say something worse than 2008, when, as you remember, we discussed as it was happening, where you couldn't get credit, you couldn't buy anything, you couldn't do anything. The factories shut down. You shut down factories, and production goes to zero. Everything craps out. That's a national security threat.
Got it.
I mean, you got nothing. You're just dead in the water. I mean, this is like a ship at sea with no power.
In irons.
Yeah, exactly.
So the trade balance, an imbalance.
That's Trump's. This is, by the way, what you said earlier about it's important that we can make our own steel. Yes, I agree with that. That's what it is. But Trump's thing, I'm just telling you what he said. Yes. He never mentioned what you said. Right. He says that if we go broke, that's a national security threat, which we're trying to fix.
Well, he would know.
He would.
He would know about going broke.
Good point.
Yeah, this is a bad thing, people. We should not go broke. Check mark.
So Trudeau comes out, and I'm trying to say which way to go. Should we talk to Trump? Let's
do it in chronological order. Do you have anything from the press conference?
Is Trump first? Trump came up first, and Trump. But I do have a kind of a not going to trade. Let's go with Trump G7 not going to trade.
Okay.
Unbelievably cash flow oriented, had no debt of any consequence, and they'd build the highway system. We built the interstate system virtually out of cash flow. And it was a lot different. No, we have a very good relationship, and I don't blame these people, but I will blame them if they don't act smart and do what they have to do, because they have no choice. I'll be honest with you, they have no choice. They're either going to make the trades fair, because our farmers have been hurt. You look at our farmers, for 15 years, the graph is going just like this, down. Our farmers have been hurt. Our workers have been hurt. Our companies have moved out and moved to Mexico and other countries, including Canada. Now, we are going to fix that situation. And if it's not fixed, we're not going to deal with these countries. But the relationship that I've had is great. So you can tell that to your fake friends at CNN. The relationship that I've had with the people.
By the way, he said something very interesting there. He kind of confused fake news with journos, and he said, you can tell your fake friends over there.
Yeah, I know, fake friends. That was funny. I noticed that too. Well, this was a guy from CNN who asked him, because there was a report on ABC and every place else that Trump's coming in late and leaving early.
Right.
And he's just there to piss everybody off, and I have an ABC report on that. And so the CNN guy says, meanwhile, Trump's still there. This is the end of the thing. So he was there for the whole thing, and then he left. But the CNN guy, so Trump stops him as he asks the question. I'm sorry I didn't clip it. And he says,
oh, yeah, who are you from?
What news organization are you from?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's continue with it. I wanted to just note the fake friends thing. It's like, wow, that's kind of off the wall.
And if it's not fixed, we're not going to deal with these countries. But the relationship that I've had is great. So you can tell that to your fake friends at CNN. The relationship that I've had.
I have no idea. My friends aren't real.
With the people, the leaders of these countries has been, I would really rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. I would rate it a 10. That doesn't mean I agree with what they're doing, and they know very well that I don't. So we're negotiating very hard tariffs and barriers. As an example, the European Union is brutal to the United States.
Brutal.
They don't take, and they understand that. They know it. When I'm telling them, they're smiling at me. You know, it's like the gig is up. It's like the gig is up. They're not trying to. There's nothing they can say.
The gig is
up. They can't believe they got away with it.
Isn't it the jig is up?
Yeah, the jig is up.
Hey, that is
now changed to the gig is up.
Wait, the phrase from the Shays for today, the gig is up. But what is the etymology of the jig is up? Jig, like your dance?
Then it's over? The dance is over? Maybe.
It could be.
That you may have just stumbled onto it. That sounds logical.
Let's see. The jig, is an old term for a lively dance. I guess the jig is up is like musical chairs. An expression used to mean we have been caught out and have no defense. So the jig is up. So you're standing there and the music's not playing. Something like that.
Canada can't believe it got away with it. Mexico. We have a $100 billion trade deficit with Mexico, and that doesn't include all the drugs that are pouring in because we have no wall. But we are. We started building the wall, as you know, $1.6 billion, and we're going to keep that going. But a lot of these countries actually smile at me when I'm talking, and the smile is, we couldn't believe we got away with it. That's the smile. So it's going to change. It's going to change. They have no choice. If it's not going to change, we're not going to trade with them. Okay, how about a couple of more?
Now, I did look into this 270%, 300% that the president kept talking about. And it is true that for a long time, there's been a very high trade tariff on milk imports. This is why he says our farmers. And that is 270%. It would be helpful if he didn't do the 97% of all scientists bullshit and throw in 300%, because it's not. It's 270%. But
yeah, he did it right.
But the notable exception is ultra-filtered milk and other ingredients used to make cheese and yogurt. I don't know what that is. That whey? What is it? Culture? Something.
Ultra-filtered milk is a new product.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I think they're using Millipore or some device where they strip out the lactose and a lot of the water, and I believe this particular product is the reason we've had a sudden upsurge in everybody and their brother making Greek yogurt.
Well, I love you for the fact that you know this stuff, and I had a suspicion you would. However, NAFTA does not cover this specific ingredient. So they were entering Scandinavia duty-free, and this actually became a pretty big business for U.S. Dairy farmers. But that changed a year ago when the Canadian dairy farmers and producers came up with some way to close this loophole with what they call the ingredient strategy, and they persuaded the regulators to create new lower price class of industrial milk as an incentive to get dairies to produce protein substances in Canada using Canadian milk. So, of course, our imports fell sharply. So
exports.
Import of our products. Our exports fell sharply. So there is truth to what he's saying, and I haven't heard anyone even talk about that.
This is what's really galling. In fact, he had to tweet this out because Trudeau, and I've got the clips of Trudeau going on and on about one thing or another, seems to be more preoccupied with educating women in sub-Saharan Africa, to be honest.
Priorities.
He's got his priorities. And Trump had to, this happened last night. After Trudeau's press conference, which followed Trump's press conference at the G7, Trudeau got all bent out of shape about one thing or another and then was already haughty. And so Trump, well, let's finish these clips and I'll give you the moment when this happened where anyway, the point is Trump had to tweet this 270% tariff, which you're right, it's exactly what it is. The Canadians charge American dairy farmers 270% tariff on any products they ship to Canada. So we don't ship anything to Canada.
Wait, whoa. Is this any product?
Any dairy product.
Oh, all dairy product. Okay, yes, all dairy products. Yeah,
no, just dairy products. Yeah. And that's what he's talking about. That's what Trump is saying. Our dairy, this is what he's talking about. The farmers. But meanwhile, nobody in the media explains this, which is really a galling situation. I have not heard any. In fact, the only place you can find a good rundown of this is in the Globe and Mail in Canada.
How sad is that?
So there's obviously, something going on about that. But let's play you played that clip. I want to play this second clump trip, which is, I think, the most poignant clip of the press conference where Trump complains about the why and now factor. And I kind of I subscribe to this particular thing. This is Trump complains.
And this is something, I can't stress this strong enough. I talked about tariffs that previous people, and I'm not looking to criticize people that were preceding me, but on tariffs, it should have never happened. Well, the same thing on North Korea. We shouldn't be in this position. We shouldn't be in this position on tariffs where we're hundreds of billions of dollars down to other countries that, frankly, were never even negotiated with. They never even got spoken to. I asked a top person in China, how did it get so bad? He looked at me and said, nobody ever talked to us. They were missing in action, our leaders. Well, a very similar thing, if you think about it, took place with North Korea. This should not be done now. This should have been done 5 years ago and 10 years ago and 25 years ago. It shouldn't be done now.
Have you spoken to Kim at all in the run?
I can't comment on that.
Sir, you've got a plane to catch.
Okay, one more question.
When do you raise the issue of the gulags with Kim Jong-un?
We're going to raise every issue.
I want a guy just behind me at all times, ready to say, sir, you've got a plane to catch?
Yeah.
How beautiful is that? Sir, you've really got a plane to catch. Yeah,
so
this really irked the M5Mers. This, slagging off previous presidents. Woo!
Yeah. I thought it was very poignant. I thought it was exactly right. What are we doing? Dicking around. And in fact, it really brings up why Trump's president. Trump shouldn't be president. He would say the same thing.
Yeah.
If none of the, because he claims that this is the reason he ran because of all these issues. And I think he's making a good point. I mean, this has got completely out of control. Our debt is outrageous. I mean, although if it's just a bunch of phony baloney paper that we can print and buy stuff, we're getting free stuff. Yeah, well, I don't think anybody would agree that that's true. Let's listen to now we go to Trudeau. Trudeau comes on afterwards, and now he goes on his thing. Let's start with Trudeau's sunset clause.
Oh yeah, got it.
Prime Minister, on NAFTA, the president spoke this morning at his press conference. He said he thinks you're close to a deal, but that a sunset clause is inevitable. There are two possibilities, he said, for a sunset clause, but there will be one. Do you agree that there will be a sunset clause? Will you consent to that? And do you think you're close?
There will not be a sunset clause. Canada has been unequivocal that we cannot sign a trade deal that expires automatically every 5 years. That is not a trade deal. So that's not on the table. I think there are various discussions about alternatives that would not be that and that would not be entirely destabilizing for a trade deal. And I think we're open to creativity, but there will be no sunset clause.
Yeah, I read about this and I didn't understand what the big problem was. Don't we have sunset clauses on all kinds of agreements, like the Iran nuclear deal?
Yeah, the Iran nuclear deal. Well, according to Trudeau, it's not a trade deal if there's a sunset clause, which I don't know where's that in the definition of trade deal?
I really don't understand.
And I don't know what he's so bent out of shape about it for. He was really bent out of shape about this question. No. Whatever we sign is good forever for the life of all mankind. I just don't get that.
For his legacy, maybe?
What legacy? So he goes, here he is.
What, legacy? Yeah.
Let's go with Trudeau going his own way.
Okay.
And today, I'm thrilled to announce that Canada, along with the European Union, Germany, Japan, the United Kingdom, France, and the World Bank, will invest nearly $4 billion to support.
Did you notice what country was left out?
Hold on, don't say anything. I want to listen to it again.
And today, I'm thrilled to announce that Canada, along with the European Union, Germany, Japan, the United Kingdom, France, and the World Bank, will invest nearly $4 billion to support quality education for women and girls.
Well, we were left out.
Yeah, we're going along with this. We're trying to save money here. But you listen to what it's for. It's not for anything that's got to do with trade. It's got nothing to do with...
No, it's for chicks, man. It's for chicks.
Yeah, but not even Canadian chicks.
Oh, no. This makes zero sense.
$1 billion to support quality education for women and girls living in crisis, conflict-affected, and fragile states. This funding represents the single...
Is he talking about the state of California with the movie industry there?
Hey, we need the money.
Largest investment of its kind. In the fight for greater equality, education is key. It gives girls the tools they need to make their own decisions about their future and live the life they want for themselves. When women and girls have an equal chance to learn, grow, and succeed, entire communities benefit. I believe this historic investment in girls' education further speaks to our common resolve to make gender equality a top priority not just this year, but every year. We also welcome the announcement made by the development finance institutions of all G7 nations that they will be investing considerable funds focused on women in developing countries.
How long does this go on? Is there a kicker in this?
It's all virtues. His whole speech is very plotting. You have to listen to it. It's worth listening to. But it's plotting, virtue signaling. Hey, I'm a liberal. I'm doing a lot for girls. And, beside the fact that this money is going to go to corrupt organizations, countries that the money's not going to go to girls. This is bull crap. We know this for a fact.
I can see the girls with their little coin purse open. Oh, come on, Justin, drop some coins in my purse.
This guy is. and I hate to say it because we got a lot of Canadians that listen to the show, this guy is the worst.
Enhance economic participation and empowerment. This is proof of what we can accomplish by working together. 5 of us also agreed to a plastics charter, which speaks to our common resolve to eradicate plastic pollution. This is an important step towards achieving a life cycle economy in which all plastics would be recycled and repurposed. This is good news not only for the environment, but also for businesses who could stand to benefit from reducing the cost associated to plastic use. Canada will also...
Whoa. Isn't the whole reason for plastic because it's a cheap product that you can make into almost anything and it's great?
Yeah.
Plastics, son. Plastics, said Dustin Hoffman. No.
Yeah.
Said Craig
Nelson.
Exactly
right. But so he twists it again, using some sort of convoluted thesis that, plastics would cost more than there were. It just makes zero sense. There would be no plastics if it wasn't a cheap junk thing.
And there'd be no Crocs, which I'm sure he walks on.
For businesses who could stand to benefit from reducing the cost associated to plastic use. Canada will also invest $100 million to rid our oceans of the global plastic pollution. To protect our oceans, we agreed to the G7 blueprint for healthy oceans and resilient coastal communities. Oftentimes, developing nations, including small island states, are particularly vulnerable to the impacts of a changing climate. G7 nations have a role to play in helping these countries mitigate the consequences of and join the fight against climate change, which goes hand in hand with the health of our coasts and oceans. As part of this initiative, Canada will invest $162 million to help build strong and resilient coasts and communities. This will include efforts to build back better after extreme weather events and to help expand renewable energy infrastructure. And finally, we spoke about the future of the economy at length. Innovation is changing how we live and how we work, which brings new challenges and opportunities for working people. One thing that came out of this year's summit was the need to encourage a culture of lifelong learning so that the next job is also a better job.
Oh, man, what a snooze fest.
The next job's a better... This is nonsense.
Someone should tase that guy.
This is patent nonsense.
Yeah, it really is.
Some people don't want to deal with lifelong learning. I'm amused by, for example, by the guy who won the Belmont Stakes, the jockey. They won the Triple Crown this year. By the way, I have a very short ISO of the Belmont Stakes in a nutshell. Please play.
Thank you.
So the guy who was the jockey dropped out of high school when he was a freshman in high school, never wanted to go back, and said he didn't care. School wasn't what he was interested in. He wanted to ride horses. And he rode horses.
Yeah, he just wanted to ride a horse. And now he's
ride horses.
And he wanted to be famous, and his dream came true. Yeah, it's America, baby. It's how it works.
Where's the lifelong education here?
Like mine.
So he got the lifelong education at the stables, and he knew, it was by being an apprentice, which is something you don't want to talk about.
Yes, apprenticeship.
You can't control the way you think in the stables.
Uh-huh. I have some about. I got a great second. It's like E-block on education.
So let's go back to Trudeau. Now, here's where Trudeau. By the way, I can jump. I got very few clips left, but I can jump to Trudeau. ABC, this is the ABC report on the G7 where they twist it, pretty much taking the side of Trudeau and used Trudeau as a kicker. This is before the G7. I want to play ABC on the G7.
Kicker.
We want to turn next to Canada now. President Trump at the G7 coming face to face with the very allies he spent recent days publicly bashing. And now he is angering them all over again by calling for Russia to be invited back into the mix. It was all smiles for the ritual group photo, but President Trump arrived late and he plans to leave early, leaving tension in his wake. ABC's David Wright is there.
You writing novels?
Leaving tension in his wake.
Today, as the G7 leaders
leaders posed for the traditional family photo. President Trump was all smiles, but make no mistake, this is a dysfunctional family.
European Union treats us very unfairly. Canada, very unfairly. Mexico, very unfairly.
The U.S. president attacked some of America's closest allies as he set out this morning. He even called for the G7 to become the G8 again.
Russia should be in this meeting. Why are we having a meeting without Russia being in the meeting?
Russia was expelled from the group back in 2014 after it illegally annexed Crimea. Trump's suggestion that Russia should be allowed a seat at the table did not.
Not sure that is internationally recognized and true as illegally annexed Crimea because there was a legal vote, but that's just ABC.
Go over well here in Canada. The other G7 leaders are also fuming over Trump's stiff new tariffs on steel and aluminum. After Trump justified them on national security grounds, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau bristled.
The idea that we are somehow a national security threat to the United States is quite frankly insulting and unacceptable.
Even though no one said
this guy is.
Yeah. Why
now,
would
so here?
Crazy.
Let's go back to the press conference, and this is Trudeau. He's asked a question about this because he's been making it very clear that he wants to say we Canadians are not terrorists, which is and the news media, by the way, where ABC or any of them don't try to soften the blow of that nonsense. They don't try to explain it at all. So, but let's listen to Trudeau at the press conference.
What's the name of the clip?
Trudeau on national security.
Sort of specific threats from the president today saying that he would cut off trade with countries that don't do what the Americans want them to do, and that if you retaliate on steel and tariffs, as you plan to do on July 1st, that you're making a mistake. So how seriously do you take that threat, and does that change your plans to go ahead with the retaliatory tariffs?
I highlighted directly to the president that Canadians did not take it lightly. That the United States has moved forward with significant tariffs on our steel and aluminum industry, particularly did not take lightly the fact that it's based on a national security reason that for Canadians who either themselves or whose parents or community members have stood shoulder to shoulder with American soldiers in far-off lands and conflicts from the First World War onwards, that it's kind of insulting. And I highlighted that it was not helping in our renegotiation of NAFTA, and that it would be with regret, but it would be with absolute certainty and firmness that we move forward with retaliatory measures on July 1st, applying equivalent tariffs to the ones that the Americans have unjustly applied to us. I have made it very clear to the president that it is not something we relish doing, but it is something that we absolutely will do, because Canadians were polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
En français. En français? Yeah, en français.
Yeah, they won't get pushed around, but do it in French, and so immediately does it.
Yes, je m'en fous.
So this whole thing, by the way, I don't believe for a minute that this would have even come up if they had not put the clamps on that filtered milk product that they were getting in for free.
You're probably right.
Because that's the trigger, because it was just too much. We're finally getting something.
And by the way, where did Trump campaign the hardest at the end of the campaign? In Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And he told this story. He said, hey, we're getting screwed by the Scandinavians.
So this 270% tariff, which is dead accurate. People say, well, it's a high number. Maybe he's just making it up. He lies all the time. He never tells the truth, this guy. The media has done nothing. ABC, NBC, CBS have done nothing to support this argument.
No.
They won't even mention the 270%, as you say. The news, the papers won't talk about it. It's unfair. It's totally unfair, and so that's why he's doing the tax on the steel. And then they also won't bring up the fact that it's bull crap. Nobody's calling the Canadians terrorists, and the national security thing's got nothing to do with Canada specifically.
No, it's our own.
And they won't bring that up either. No. This is no good. It's the Russians.
Well, let me jump ahead and allow me to play a clip that I've been waiting for the end of your little spiel here, unless you have another important clip to play.
I can pass it up.
Okay.
Go.
This is the Joy Reid Show on MSNBC. Joy Reid, as you know, is a homophobic truther, which is just what she is. It's a weird combo. It's a weird combo, but she's a homophobic truther. And she had
Trump.
And she had she very, very, very a lot of hate for the president. And she had 3 guests on, and it was almost as if they were trying to outdo each other in. I mean, you need to get the Trump rotation list, because some of what they call him in this clip is on there. There are also some new ones.
It's not, but I got to say, Joy, I don't think the upshot of this press conference was about tariffs. I'll be honest, as a citizen, I'm concerned about the president's state of mind. He did not look well to me in that press conference. He was not speaking logically or rationally. Right. It sounded as if he was making stuff up, saying, China told me nobody's ever talked to us, or saying, I talked to Justin Trudeau, and he can't believe he was getting away with so much trade stuff. I don't think those things are true. And there was something about his affect which was oddly kind of languid from him. I don't know what it means.
What does languid mean?
He did not.
What does languid mean?
It means calm.
Calm.
It was calm. You saw him on the
he was doped up, man. He was doped up.
Not look well to
language. I mean, what does he want him to do? Be screaming and spitting?
Yeah, where's the old Trump?
And Malcolm, you have Donald Trump saying North Korea will be a tremendous place in a very short period of time. That's an odd thing to say about the North Korea, which is a completely closed dictatorship. He seems very eager to go and talk to Kim Jong-un. To John Harwood's point, very little of what he was saying made a lot of sense.
John has hit the nail on the head. And, I think Steve Schmidt said this the other day, that Donald Trump comes off like a moron. Well, I don't think that does justice to the Skinner-Binet test. I think he came off like an idiot today. I was almost shocked at the way that he spoke, with utter contempt of every president that preceded him. He does not fundamentally appear to believe in the processes and systems that put him in the office. He doesn't appear to believe in the alliances that bind us together, that make us stronger as a nation. It is all about his narcissism. And to be from a national security perspective, this man wouldn't qualify for the nuclear weapons control system to allow him to be anywhere near the nuclear control keys, or even guarding them. I mean, I'm really shocked at the way that he speaks, because it is all Donald Trump centric. He came off like Mad King Donald, not President of the United States.
Yeah, I think you should write down Mad King Donald. I think that belongs on our list.
I think you might be right.
And before I play
we just played the clips of him, and their interpretation was so alien. Of course, they don't play clips to prove. By the way, they make these assertions, but they don't play any examples.
No. And that's why I'm happy I'm putting this after your clips. There's a little bit left. But I do want to also mention that one of the main themes, certainly in the EU's, was what Juncker the Drunker said. He said Trump is undermining is challenging the rules-based international order. And I had not heard this term before, the rules-based international order, but there is such a thing. And it basically means all the leaders of the world through the UN and the 50, 60, 70 other UN-type organizations, they all just kind of agree on subtle changes, and we just kind of go along with the program, if I can paraphrase. So, it's what Juncker said is, he's not going along with the program. This is no good.
Yeah, Sarah, there used to be a thing where Republicans sharply criticized even the Dixie Chicks for being on foreign soil and criticizing the American president.
Yeah, actually, that was the Hollywood that criticized the Dixie Chicks and almost, and drove them out of town when they did that on the Oscars.
Now have an American president trashing all of his predecessors, congratulating world leaders on tricking U.S. leaders, American presidents, seeming to have more respect in many ways for the leader of North Korea than for his own predecessors, blaming President Obama for Russia invading Crimea and annexing it. I mean, it is pretty stunning to hear an American president
I don't have the clip, but I was thinking about getting it. But he never blamed Obama. He blamed Obama for allowing it to happen. He didn't blame them for them doing it.
Right. And did he name Obama by name?
Only for on the Crimea thing, yes. He named Obama by name.
All right.
Speak that way about his own country, his own country's former leaders.
Yeah. Oh, this girl. Now, she's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whatever way you look at it, Donald Trump is not working for the United States. He's not working for the interests of the United States. He's not working for the interests of U.S. workers. You can see the effects of these tariff policies in states like mine, Missouri, that voted for him in terms of what's happened to soybean farmers, what's happened to the Harley-Davidson plant in Kansas City. But to look at it more broadly, Trump's relationships are basically set on what can a leader of a country do for Trump. So he's favorable to China. He's favorable now to Kim because he thinks he's getting this kind of ego boost. It's enormously destructive, and it's shameful that the GOP has not done anything. They know that these policies are going to hurt their states. And whatever short-term view they have, whatever careerism they have, in the long run, this is going to devastate America. They may think they're fine. Their kids won't be. Their grandkids might not be. And there might not be a country for them to inherit. So they need to take this seriously, and they need to act now.
We're all going to die.
Jeez, this is crazy.
That's your MSNBC. It is crazy.
I mean, I hate to tell you this, but you can get a borderline for that one.
Oh, thank you. Why do you hate to tell me that? That's good news.
Well, because you're going to get a swell ahead and become a narcissist. I want to play more of the Trump, but now that they brought this up, I can play a couple of clips on still at the G7 press conference.
Can we do a tease? Because we're running late now.
Oh, are we? Okay, we're running deep.
Yeah, we're running deep.
Okay, let me do it as a tease.
Okay.
You won't believe this clip.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C. The C stands for Can't Make Greek Yogurt, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, yogurt in the air, and subs in the water, and the dames and the knights out there.
In the morning to all the trolls in the troll room. We're there where they belong, but always helpful, these trolls of ours, because we don't feed them, they feed us. It is noagendastream.com. Also, I would like to thank not only all of our artists who are diligently just making beautiful pieces of art, very creative, for the album art, which we put into our MP3s. And I'd like to know, by the way, is the overcast problem fixed? Is the artwork now better? Because I'm putting it at a huge DPI and people complained. I changed it and no one said anything. So,
yes, we need more input on that overcast problem.
Yes, but the artwork was, I believe this may have been a best of that we pulled from the Evergreens. It was Professor Ted with an orange
it was an old clip.
Yeah, it was OTG.
Clip.
Yeah, his T-shirt says OTG, baby. And for some reason, it just fit with the show. It was funny. And it was put directly into the Evergreens, which is an interesting trick. I don't think it ever made it to
this is news to you, but this has been going on since day one.
Well, I'm not in charge of the art. It's more your beat.
No, but you look at the art. You look at the Evergreens.
I do. Only when you say, it's shit, let's look at the Evergreens.
Not the only one who says that.
I know. Anyway, noagendaartgenerator.com. Thank you. It's a tremendous amount of value. It really makes a big difference. In my opinion, and I can know because I was. Did you see this? I was the trivia question on this HQ thing.
Yeah, HQ trivia show. It's online. It is actually. I think you can walk away with quite a bit of money playing this particular.
Yeah, it's like they were giving away $400,000. I've never heard of this, and all of a sudden, my phone starts blowing up.
Yeah, you were but they did. I don't know that they ever mentioned your name. They
yes.
Okay.
I forgot to clip it. I'll clip it for Thursday because it was even more interesting. It's like, who is generally recognized as the father of podcasting? And the answers are
no. I think as the Podfather.
Yes, I think it was the father of podcasting. I think was the question.
It was the Podfather.
No, in the I should have clipped it. I don't know what something went wrong with that. Because I don't care about myself, but I just want to bring it up.
Yeah, you and Trump.
Yeah, so, it was multiple choice answer, and was the profession of the person who is generally recognized as the creator of podcasting, was he A, an MTV VJ, B, a NASA scientist, and C, was like an ex-Apple employee. And what was cool about it is the most people voted for NASA scientist, which I really liked, you morons. And then they went straight into a Steph Curry question, which is even crazier. As you know, he's my brother from another mother. So, yeah, I should have clipped that. I should have it anyway.
Been MVP, too. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, I hear you. Anyway, let's thank some people. Our executive and associate executive producers, just like Hollywood, we like to thank them up front in their own special segment.
We had a few good ones today, but then it drops way off. It's very strange. Dame Go Buy, $700, NJNK. And she has a question for us, which we'll answer later, but she's got NJNK. I want to thank her for that.
Yes, is it Go Buy or Gobi?
Could be Gobi.
I think it's Gobi, if I remember correctly.
Good.
Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Dame Gobi.
Then we go to Laurent Bureau in Besançon, France.
Franchement.
So he came in with $390. He did write a note.
Good.
He says, this donation pushes me to... Oh, you got to get your pen out. He's a knight now.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
He says, this donation pushes me to knighthood. I would like to be known as Sir Agent Provocateur. Since I asked for karma a long time ago, too many things happened to me for me to stay idle. With a human resource on the way and purchase of my first apartment, it's obvious that karma and great karma actually works. That's why I'd like to send karma to everyone and to the show. Okay, everyone and to the show. The relatively slower paced news.
Sorry.
The relatively slower paced news since the last presidential election seems to have discouraged some listeners. Well, there are still too many infotainment. There's too much infotainment in your show, in our show, that it would be a shame not to support it. What infotainment? To listeners, infotainment. To listeners, we'll make it interesting. We try not to be boring. To listeners, remember that small but regular donations can matter a lot to our hosts. Keep up the good work. And he sent a second note in to please add Wifus and Waffles to the roundtable.
What are we getting there?
WAIFUS.
Hold on. I got to go into the section. I got to go to the roundtable menu. W what?
WAIFUS.
Wifus,
And Waffles.
Okay, sounds...
Okay, wait, we got to stop the show and look this up.
Wifus and Waffles? Sounds delicious.
What is
Wifus?
Just let this slide.
Yeah, we can't let this slide. Wifus.
Waifu.
So there's Wifus or Waffles.
A fictional female character from non-live action visual media, typically an anime, manga, or video game, to whom one is attracted.
Oh, like a waif, kind of.
Yeah, Wifus. But it's fandom slang.
Well, I'll take them. Wifus and Waffles. Good eating.
That's cute. It's different.
Yeah.
And he came in with $390.
Does he need anything? He
wanted some karma.
Yeah, karma for everybody and for himself. Here you are. Thank you.
You've got karma.
Merci, monsieur. And we will see you later at Le Knighting.
Trent Perkins in Fenton, Missouri. 333.38. They're staying with the 38. I like that. ITM fellas, first of all, can I get a de-douching?
You've been de-douched.
I forgot to ask for one last donation just because I can be a douchebag sometimes. The show is as good as ever. We're all lucky to have the No Agenda podcast in our lives. My perception is forever changed, and that's kind of priceless, so thanks. Can you give some karma to listener Dirtus Curtis? Please. Congratulations on your wedding announcement, Kurt. It was good seeing you at the Webb's wedding. I heard that you sat in with Brother Francis and their show.
This is great.
Hey, are we going over this? A couple of farmers talking over the fence?
He can do whatever he wants.
With Brother Francis at their show that night. Was sorry to miss that reunion. No jingles, but can I get a Trump jobs karma for every listener? Also, if this donation makes it on time, I'd like to be in on the birthday list, celebrating my 30th birthday. Today, the 7th.
Right.
And you got in.
A few days late. Well, a few days late. But
it came in. The donation came in on the 7th.
Jobs.
Let's vote for jobs.
Karma.
I think for the drug users, it could be You've Got Pharma.
Ah, very good.
Sir Husky Bottoms of the Hardwoods is Scott Moore, $333.30. Happy June. Summer is in full swing, and my homeschool non-slave children already have a canoe trip and 2 wild-caught snakes recorded for the month.
Excellent. Eagle Scouts in the making.
It has been about 6 months since my last donation. I wanted to witness all the douchebags out there who freeload on all this wonderful content that is unfettered or guided by advertising dollars. I myself had a wake-up call to my shortcomings and sustained donations recently. My knighthood donation based on Jobs Karma led to a large project which just happens to be set for delivery this Monday.
Ah, congratulations.
You can imagine my astonishment when asking for the access code for the delivery. I was told it was 3333. I said, self, you must donate. Therefore, my 333.30 contribution is a thank you for the wonderfully blended drink of information, humor, and sane analysis that drives my wife crazy.
Oh, man. I'm going to give him some special relationship karma, just in case.
You've got karma.
Sir Husky. Thank you very much, Scott.
Dropping down to associate executive producers for show 1041, Bo Brown in Springfield, Missouri. A lot of Missourians in today. $200.33. John and Ann, with this donation, I should finally be a knight of the No Agenda Roundtable. I hope he's on the list. My beautiful wife, Ashton, has been getting me No Agenda for my birthday, June 10th. For the past, I know he's on the birthday list.
Yep.
For the past 4 years, and makes 5. Previously, you have on the night list?
Yes, he is.
Previously, Ashton has always written his note, but seeing as I am being knighted today, I found it fitting that I finally write in. I am yet another one of the dudes named Ben. We have that's the other one we have. We got Eagle Scouts, Hams, and dudes named Ben. That's our audience.
Yep.
And the first
and spooks.
Oh yeah, we do have spooks. Yeah. And discovered the show, and a lot of military. Discovered the show through Twit. John was my favorite guest on the show, and after hearing No Agenda plugged repeatedly, I finally gave it a shot. Jeez. At the time, I was naive and obedient drone of the M5M. During my first listen, I recall being mostly appalled by the crackpot and buzzkill nature of the discussions. Despite this, I was still intrigued enough to continue. By my third episode, the old classic third episode, I was hooked.
You have an I'm sorry. I don't know why that happened. Sorry.
By my third episode, I was hooked and quickly devoured the entire backlog. This is a very common phenomenon.
It is.
It either goes like this. I liked it when I first heard you this because they weren't obviously corrupted by M5M, so they liked the show and they just started listening. But then there's the ones like this guy, this dude named Ben, who was corrupted and they didn't like, these guys are full of crap. Oh, these guys are terrible. They're kind of funny. I will listen one more time. Listens 3 times. Boom. Says, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. And then he goes back and listens to everything.
Yep. Yeah. That's what happens. Outstanding product.
It's not what we recommend.
No.
But it's fine if you do it.
It's okay if you do it.
But, geez, those early shows are terrible. I truly appreciate the hard work you both have put into this. The best podcast in the universe. I shudder to think where my mental hygiene might be today if I had continued to unquestionably get my news from the likes of Brolf and the other stooges in the M5M. The analysis and entertainment value of the show is surpassed by no other.
Oh, wow.
We agree. I only wish that it could get more. John, I hope the cataract procedure went well, and I wish you a smooth and quick recovery. To my friends that have suddenly, Dan, thank you. To my friends that have suddenly been hit in the mouth and have yet to donate, I hereby declare douchebag call-outs. Douchebag. You know who you are. Roundtable edition, Parliaments and Pale Ale.
Okay, adding that.
And his name will be Sir Burgess of the Ozarks. I believe that's on the list. And he would like a jingle request. Shysters show up. Just send your cash and nothing to see here. And then at the end, if you can put back up jingle, fourth jingle, Hey Dude named Ben to the tune of the Beatles, Hey Jude.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
Don't look over here.
Nothing to see here.
Ooh, look at that.
He's just a dude named Ben. Just a dude named Ben. Just a dude named Ben.
You've got karma.
It wasn't what I expected, but I
forgot about that.
I forgot about that one too.
That's a very good song.
We have great producers.
He says, then he finishes with "Long live no agenda."
No,
Bo
thank
Brown.
you, Bo. Thank you. And
Dame
I'll
Susan
see you at the
Johnson.
round table. See him at the round table with his parliaments and pale ale.
Dame Susan Johnson, who will be upgraded to Baronetess.
Oh, nice.
Up there in Newburgh, Oregon, sent in a check. And with it, she enclosed a note written in longhand. This donation brings me to Baroness. I would request NJNK. However, I would like to give so no jingles, no karma. I would like to give a shout out to a friend of mine who has started his own podcast and asked No Agenda producers who like to hunt and fish to please check out Kenji's Live to Hunt and Fish podcast.
It contains what it says on the tin, I believe.
I think our buddy Garland will be.
That's great. One. Yes, at least
a few comments about random observations. I traveled to Tucson last month and noticed a sign inside the PDX terminal directing dog owners to a special location for their pup to do its business inside the airport. A place with fake grass and a fire hydrant. Not only in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
On my flight was a dog and another one. On my shuttle from the airport to parking, I noticed strangers staring or starting conversations with these dog owners, which I am afraid will just encourage these people to even more. I think you're correct there, Dame Susan. And speaking of Portland, there's a saying here: "Keep Portland weird."
Yeah,
they
stole that. They stole that from us.
Oh, they stole it from Austin. Had it first.
Yeah, keep Austin weird. We had it first.
Oh,
thieves!
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, thieves up there, man. Thieves.
One of the supervisors made a comment that Austin is the Portland of Texas.
Ah, see? No,
there you go.
No.
You guys got screwed on this deal.
Oh, this is lame-o. No, here we say, because we don't want to be mean about you stealing our slogan, we say, yes, Portland's our sister city. That's the PC way to say it. It's our sister city.
I think you should change it.
To what?
To Portland's our gay sister city.
We're pretty gay here too, you know. I think we have a lock on that as well. We're more gay than Portland, and we're weirder. Go away.
There we go. Okay, now it's a pissing match.
Yeah.
I work at the major shoe company you mentioned on the show a few weeks ago. Crocs, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. As being one of the first to have their work done in China. In February, Adam mentioned authenticity being a new buzzword, and about that time, new artwork went up on campus, and sure enough, authenticity has a focus. What was a focus as well as be true. Anyway, you two be true to what you do best on the.
You said I like the way you said it. Be true.
Be true. Anyway, you two be true to what you do best, which is the best podcast in the universe. Susan. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that from time to time. Just say, hey, you know what?
True.
Just be true.
Hey, be true. Man.
Hey, be true. Okay, it's good.
Be true.
Works for me. Is that it?
That concludes our group of associate executive producers for Show 1041.
And I can conclude that the new lens is working perfectly. There's absolutely no issue whatsoever. You sailed through that.
Yeah.
I was prepared. To jump in, but actually, you were doing the spreadsheet. I'm like rolling up joints. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. It was great.
I've got four hands today.
We have another program coming up for you on Thursday. Who knows? I might have a clip or two from the Chonies tonight. We had the Choney Awards.
Oh, that's right. Tonight's the Chonies.
Yeah, it's the Chonies. It's still kind of a Hollywood thing. The Chonies is all kind of because people are in plays and actors, all kinds of celebrities.
Don't they do this? They do it in New York, though.
Yeah, but it's still a Hollywood type of event. We haven't seen all the plays. I still haven't seen Hamilton. And there'll be lots of jokes about it that I won't get. But anyway,
no, there will be no jokes about Hamilton. We could put a pool down. I believe, maybe you're right. I won't say anything. Never mind.
Anyway, the Chonies tonight. So maybe we'll talk about that on Thursday. We'll definitely have something to deconstruct for you. After all, these are show days and weird things happen. Remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
And while you're watching the Chonies, you can point some things out. It's called propagating the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave. Shut up, slave.
just before the break, you heard John talking about some great clips that concluded Trump's visit to the G7. We're back now, John. What you got?
Yeah. Hey, you dropped a penny.
Oh, hold on. It was more
there
than
it
that.
Is. You dropped it again. His fumble fingers.
Hard to pick
so
it up.
The press conference with Trump up there apparently looking sick or something, according to these MSNBCs. I didn't notice anything. He quickly turned to Kim Jong-un in the meeting that he had to catch the plane to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So let's play a couple clips of that.
Mr. President, you got a plane to catch.
Trump G7 on NOCO and Kim won.
But a couple of more.
One more.
Go ahead in the back.
Thanks, Mr. President. Eliana Johnson with Politico.
Yes, hi.
Going into these talks with Kim Jong-un, do you have a clear objective of what you want to get out of them?
I have a clear objective, but I have to say, Eliana, that it's going to be something that will always be spur of the moment. You don't know. You know, this has not been done before at this level. This is a leader who really is an unknown personality. People don't know much about him. I think that he's going to surprise on the upside, very much on the upside. We'll see. But never been done, never been tested. Many people, the world leaders, I'm talking about world leaders that have been right next to him, have never met him. So we're going in with a very positive spirit. I think very well prepared. I think, and by the way, we have worked very well with their people. They have many people right now in Shanghai. Our people have been in Singapore. Our people have been working very, very well with the representatives of North Korea. So we're going.
Did he say Shanghai first and then said Singapore?
Yeah.
What the hell is that all about?
Well, now that you mention it, he says Shanghai. Now, I'm wondering whether it's just a meaningless slip of the tongue.
Or is he thinking Shanghai for some reason?
Or does he have Shanghai on his mind for some other reason?
Shanghai on the mind.
Shanghai. Our
so
people
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
In Singapore. Our people have been working very, very well with the representatives of North Korea. So we're going in with a very positive attitude, and I think we're going to come out fine. But I've said it many times. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? May not work out. It's a good chance it won't work out. There's probably an even better chance that it will take a period of time. It'll be a process.
Yeah, okay. a Trump.
The man's speech. Unhinged.
Where did he say that we'll be there? That's going to be great real soon. Which of course is tourism. We know that. We know tourism is on deck.
By the way, I never heard that. I watched this whole thing. I don't remember him ever. He must have said it someplace else about it's going to be great real soon. That's bull. I think they made that up.
Could be.
Or something. I don't know. But the tourism thing is what we've been talking about for the decades.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go into part two, which I thought this is a little insight. It's like I can see it galling the people in MSNBC that somebody would even be thinking like the way Trump does, the way he operates. It's a little annoying. But let's listen to this.
That you would look for from this initial talk to judge whether you think things are going well?
Well, I think the minimum would be relationship. You'd start at least a dialogue because, you know, as a deal person, I've done very well with deals. What you want to do is start that. Now, I'd like to accomplish more than that. But at a minimum, I do believe at least we'll have met each other. We will have seen each other. Hopefully, we will have liked each other, and we'll start that process. So I would say that would be the minimal. And the maximum, I think you know the answer to that. But I think that will take a little bit of time. Okay, yeah.
How long do you think it would take you to figure out whether he's serious about giving up?
Good question. How long would it take? I think within the first minute, I'll know.
How?
Just my touch, my feel. That's what I do.
That's what I do, baby.
How
my
long
touch.
will it take to figure out whether or not they're serious? I said maybe in the first minute. You know, the way they say that you know if you're going to like somebody in the first 5 seconds. You ever hear that one? Well, I think that very quickly I'll know whether or not something good is going to happen. I also think I'll know whether or not it will happen fast. May not.
Oh, that's what they were talking about. They completely misinterpreted that.
Yeah, totally.
Huh.
But they didn't play a clip for anybody so we could judge for ourselves. Did you notice that on the NBC thing?
I've noticed
they
that.
They just bitched and moaned.
Yeah, they suck over there. An entremont, just a little entremont. NBC used to be really different about the president. I take you back to the year 1957, the year of our Lord. NBC Radio, ladies and gentlemen.
Have you ever read the want ads? Well, say one morning you pick up your hometown paper and spot an ad which reads, "Wanted. For important position with fast-growing concern. Native-born American citizen, male or female, at least 35 years of age. Must be able to give proof of 14-year residence in the United States. Position of 4-year duration with possible renewal. Room and board furnished. Yearly salary, $100,000, with an additional $40,000 for travel and official entertainment, plus $50,000 for operating expenses. Summer residence furnished with paid vacation. Qualifications of applicant carefully checked before position assigned." Now, an ad sounds mighty attractive, doesn't it? But the job it describes isn't a soft one by any means. As a matter of fact, it's probably the toughest job in America, that of being President of the United States. And the first job of each president is to take an oath that he will faithfully execute the office to which he's been named and will, to the best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Yes, the job of being president is a mighty important one, but preserving and protecting the Constitution is even more important, because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The president may veto a bill, but if Congress, by a 2/3 majority, passes the bill over his veto, it becomes a law under the Constitution, unless set aside by judicial judgment. Thus, the best interests of the people are protected. That's how your American Constitution works.
Ah, good times. Good times.
Yeah, you never hear anything like that anymore.
Not on NBC.
Yeah, one world government. That's what we're talking about.
That's right.
I would say something interesting, or I would say that there's something interesting in that clip. They were paying back in the 50s $100,000 a year.
Yeah, and it's $250 now.
It should be over $1 million based on inflation.
Yeah.
It should be like 1.2 million or something along those lines. The guy's getting gypped.
Yeah, he sure is. All them guys getting gypped.
That's something should be done about that. Do I have anything else on this whole thing? I do have the rundown, the ABC rundown on the North Korea meeting.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind hearing that.
Yeah, let's run that.
With the North Korea summit now just days away, President Trump was asked just how prepared he really is.
I think I'm very well prepared. I don't think I have to prepare very much. It's about attitude. It's about willingness to get things done.
What he says it's not about the pictures.
This will not be just a photo op. This will be at a minimum. We'll start with perhaps a good relationship, and that's something that's very important toward the ultimate making of a deal.
Today in the Rose Garden with Japan's prime minister by his side, the president tried to temper expectations for the outcome.
I believe we're going to have a terrific success or a modified success.
And while he maintains he would not hesitate to call off the meeting once again.
So I am totally prepared to walk. It could happen. Maybe it won't be necessary. I hope it won't be necessary to walk.
He says he would eventually like to normalize relations with the Hermit Kingdom and perhaps even invite Kim, one of the world's most brutal dictators, to the United States.
Oh, no.
Would it be here at the White House or at Mar-a-Lago?
Maybe we'll start with the White House. What do you think?
Actually, I stand corrected. Since 2001, the president has earned $400,000 annual salary, a $50,000 annual expense account, a $100,000 non-taxable travel account, and $19,000 for entertainment. The most
Every time he
raise,
jumps into Air Force One, he spends more money than that.
Mm-hmm. That was a Bill Clinton move in 99.
Still low, the way I see it.
It's a shit job for the money, for sure.
Well, somehow you get to make money on some other ways. Publishing companies that give you
that's right.
$10 million for a book.
It all works out in the end.
I have two more clips, and I'm pretty close to done. They're short. Okay. All these clips are short. This is Radish. Going back to, I think this is ABC. We go to ABC and listen to her. We heard the brutal dictator. I get the biggest kick out of the media saying we don't know anything about North Korea. It's the Hermit Kingdom. We have no idea what's going on. How do you know he's a brutal dictator if that's true?
Because
I'm just asking him.
Well, okay. Because they know someone who went there and said that.
So here we have Martha Radich on Kim going, she's making the story a little more dramatic than it needs to be.
Singapore will be the farthest he's traveled as leader. He'll likely be surrounded by his squad of highly trained bodyguards, hand-picked not only for loyalty, but physical appearance. No blemishes allowed. Men reportedly separated from their families at an early age to dedicate themselves to the supreme leader. His drive to build a nuclear weapon capable of hitting the United States has been swift and shocking. But the biggest surprise, his skill on the world stage, hand in hand with South Korea's president at the DMZ.
I think he wants to see something incredible happen.
Of course, the biggest test is yet to come when Kim Jong-un goes face-to-face with Donald Trump.
So a couple of things. Of course, they buffer this by saying, as leader, it's the farthest he's ever traveled. This was some sort of in the Hermit Kingdom. He's some sort of a
but he went to school in Switzerland.
He went to school in Switzerland and spent all of his other years in Paris
playing basketball.
Yeah, there's basketball involved,
and going to Disneyland Paris.
Yeah. So this is This is like, let's paint this bullshit picture, and then they have this thing. He's got these crazy kids taken from when at 2 years old, and they're his bodyguards, and they show his during the showing of this clip. They have this. He's got a car. It's like, I don't know, a Benz or something. I can't even tell, or a Russian car maybe. And it's surrounded by guys running alongside the car. There's about 40 of them, as if wherever he goes, he's got these 40 guys. Yet, when we saw him meet up with the South Korean prime minister or president, there was nobody around him. They're shaking hands. He steps over the line. They go have dinner. Where's all these guys? These reporters are terrible. And they try not to explain anything to anybody. This is my theme for today, which really galls me, because they won't talk about the 270% tariff. They won't talk about the thing about they won't explain what it might mean when you talk about national security. It's just outrageous. Your turn.
Oh, I thought you were. That was leading into another thing that you hated. It's okay.
Well, I
sounded. I was like, okay, what clip will it be next?
I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I do have another ISO for you.
Okay.
Try this one, because I'm looking for. Let's do the two ISOs I have.
Okay.
These are for consideration for the end of the show.
Okay. Oh, well, then I have one as well for consideration for the end of the show. I'll start.
Quite an impressive day.
It'll be quite an impressive day.
I like it. It's quite good. It's quite impressive as an ISO.
Now, the one that I like the best is the last one, which is something that I was watching Good Morning America, getting clips, and there was a thing. It just was just some blather at the very end of the show before they cut to commercial, and this was it.
AB. That's right.
Mental.
Okay, I like it. Mental. Nice. But I think I have an ISO, but it needs to be played in context first. See if you can figure out which part of it is the ISO. Now, this was a very interesting occurrence on MSNBC. You know, it's my beat. I watch it, and I've been talking about Stephanie Ruhle a lot lately because she's irksome, and then she's filled with so much hate and venom. Then she had Mika on her show, Brzezinski, and what is the she's the PBS reporter. I hate
Judy?
No, the young one, kind of a squarish head. What's her name?
The black girl?
No, not black girl. The lesbians. I hate to say it that way, but that might help you.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I can't come up with her name.
Yeah, sorry. So I hate to just characterize her as the lesbian, but that's the one. And so Mika lays on this bombshell, and just everyone's pile jumping. It's a complete hatred of men, hatred of the president, and I think maybe it was a joke, which would make sense because I would have made this joke, but to present it in this way is a tad unglued.
I wonder where Ivanka's voice is on a number of issues. But back to the Rudy story, I'll tell you a couple of things. First of all, the hypocrisy is astounding because I know someone who spoke to Donald Trump recently about life in the White House, and Donald Trump's biggest complaint was that he's not allowed to watch porn in the White House. So there you go. There's a little bit of news for you. He's upset that he can't watch porn in the White House.
I bet they have those, 1-900 numbers blocked too, which must be a disappointment.
I'm not really sure, but it just sort of flies in the face of all of this. But, I obviously, with my Know Your Value platform, feel really strongly about these comments. And they made my blood boil. I was shaking when I heard them. Elise Jordan, Walter Isaacson next to me, they both were shaken. Here he is, undermining a woman's credibility because he says, look at her, and laughs derisively. What a pig. And then talks about looking at Donald Trump's wives. What a pig. And this is a guy who ran pageants, Donald Trump, for his living. Okay, so we're not even
a guy who went into the back room during teen pageants so he could watch those girls disrobe.
I'm not a fan of pageants, but I'm not going to judge someone doing pageants for a living. And, that's the Miss America pageant is making great progress. Right. So there's a lot to talk about there. But my point is, beyond the hypocrisy, this is a really bad day for women if this is exactly the person the president wants speaking for him, telling people to look at someone and then laughing derisively, and it's a woman talking about she's not credible because look at her, and then comparing her to the president's wives. This is not the America that you and I have been trying to pave the way for women for. We have a long way to go for women knowing their value. The president and his attorney have taken us back like decades.
It's a bad day for humanity.
No, come on.
It's a bad day for humanity.
You don't think that's the best?
I thought my GMA one was more interesting because I like it a lot.
Let's just look.
AB. That's right.
Mental. It's pretty good. It's a good end of show clip. I'll give you that. Well, just throw it into the end of show ISO bin. It's fine. We can use
this?
Them all. Yeah.
Use them all.
Oh, no.
You can hit the button
I'm not going to blow my wad like that.
Let's talk about...
Wait, I've just one thing about this particular clip. Just explain to me... Can you mansplain something to me?
Yeah.
How is it Stormy Daniels, powerful woman, hear me roar, selling my body for money. Yet Miss America, let's not use your body to move ahead in the world. Stop with the swimsuit.
You're asking the wrong guy. I can't mansplain none of it. I will say a couple of things about what they said. For one thing, Donald Trump was not running these pageants for a living.
And he wasn't going backstage to watch teenagers undress, I don't think. But maybe he was. But
maybe he was.
Blanket statement, a little off color.
He seems unlikely, but he owned the thing. So what difference does it make? Walter Isaacson is sitting there while these people are going, this is so gross, and he's all upset and shaking. Is that what they're telling us? Walter Isaacson, the CIA guy that runs the Aspen Foundation, has read Steve Jobs' books and a million other things.
Yeah, shaking like a leaf to the core.
We kind of jointly believe is a spook.
Yeah, spook.
Is sitting there shaking. Oh, I'm so upset by this. And then the one woman mentions she does a callback to 1-900.
That was the PBS lady. That's why I brought her up.
What?
It's called pile jumping. It's called pile jumping, and it's lame. Is he watching the Gorilla Channel or the Porn Channel? Make up your mind.
That's the Gorilla Channel, the Porn Channel. I'm sure that somebody said, what do you like about this job? Well, what bothers me is I can't watch porn. Yeah. And we're supposed to believe this?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe he said it in jest to somebody.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe in jest.
I mean, it's possible. He seems to joke around a lot. But the fact that they make this an issue, we got problems here. We're trying to solve the North Korean thing. Even Bill Clinton, when he was on the Colbert Show, said, "Hey, let's calm down. I hope this guy succeeds at this." Well, he's blasted him a few times since.
Yeah. Well, there's also other stuff going on. from the pipeline bin. There's a little update on the Nord Stream 2. Now, this is this little ditty in this clip, which is interesting from a couple of perspectives. One, there's some stuff that Trump is not doing that he promised to do. But two, it kind of brings this Nord Stream 2 pipeline into perspective. And this is the one that is routed around, it's north of everybody, straight into Deutschland from Russia. And, Deutschland is, of course, they run the show because they've got a lot of gas already coming into their country, and what they don't use for their industry and for heating their homes, they pass on to the rest of Europe. And this is David Frum talking about it. Yeah, here we go.
David, I want to ask you about Nord Stream 2, which is this pipeline project proposed to run from Russia to Germany under the Baltic Sea. This, I feel like, complicates some of the policy narratives we've seen here, where the U.S. has been trying to block the construction of that pipeline, in part to prevent the Russians from getting too much power from their supplying of fossil fuels to Europe. What do you make of the Trump administration taking this sort of fairly strong anti-Russia position at this time? One of the things dividing us from Europe, actually us wanting to be tougher on Russia on this issue than they are.
Yeah, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline it's an Eastern European issue. The reason the Russians want to build this pipeline that allows them to supply gas directly to Germany, bypassing Poland, is that they never want to cut off Germany. That's too scary. They've tangled with the Germans a few times. They'd rather not do it again.
No, he's pretending because they'll come in to kill y'all like in World War II. No, it's because of the Euro boomerang. The Russian ruble, what do they call it? So the Russians sell the gas, they get the euros, they buy German cars and other fine German products, well-engineered products, and that's how that system works. It's not just because they're afraid of the Germans, dick.
But this pipeline allows them to turn off gas to Poland and to Ukraine and to other places without turning off gas to Germany. So the reason that the United States has stood strong, or not as strong as it should, against this pipeline is to protect NATO's eastern flank. Now, it happens that this is a rare case where Donald Trump has another priority along with that of his pro-Russia policy, and that is he is very sympathetic to these increasingly authoritarian small states in Eastern Europe, which are probably his only friends on the continent, especially the Poles, who gave him such a good time. But what we're going to see is that Germans have a lot of clout, and a lot more clout than the Poles. What traditionally happens at these kinds of summits is that there is vigorous debate inside the leaders' room, which is then cushioned by cooperation outside. I don't know how much leverage Donald Trump has over Germany right now, and zero. And it is going to be hard for him to win this without being able to mobilize any sympathetic opinion in Germany.
So there's a lot in this. First of all, it's clearly not in Russia's interest to be against this pipeline, so that kind of blows away, just sucking up to Putin. Second of all, the Poles, Trump has done injustice to them. I just want to bring it up again. He promised they would be part of the visa waiver program. There's no reason not to reinstate that. It's mean, and I don't understand it. And
yep.
And the third part is this idea that Germany, you saw the picture, I'm sure, that Angela Merkel's office tweeted out of her with her hands on her desk, leaning over, looking at Trump. And it was great to follow this on the Socialnets, because it was literally, no, it wasn't, it was like Laurel and Yanny, blue dress, yellow dress, sort of silver, white, all of this stuff. It was, there she is, the leader of the free world. This is the meme. Angela Merkel is the leader of the free world. No, she's not. Nor is Donald Trump. We have no leader of the free world. And, of course, Dimension A people are looking at this going, there he is, just letting them all yap away. And he's chilling out. Ha ha. So it was and you could see it both ways. You can see it both ways. It was fun to see that. But also this pipeline is not just the Russians. It's the Dutch, it's the Brits, it's the French. They're all in on this. So I don't even know what the problem is.
Well, that's a very poor report, and this Frum guy is obviously slanted in his reporting or his analysis. It's an analysis more than anything.
Yes.
But I think the one thing about, then they don't have to go through Poland and Ukraine. They can just go straight to Germany as though this is something bad. Or what it has a lot to do with the fact that if they ran it through Ukraine into Germany, the Ukrainians take gas and never pay for it.
Well, I looked that up, and that's not entirely the way it went down. In fact, Russia has had to repay a couple billion for.
Okay. Well, then tell me what I'm wrong about.
That was at one point they didn't pay, but that was after there was a deficit on Russia's side. If you really look into it, it was just a game of cocksmanship, basically. And the fact that we had the Maidan and everything going on, and Ukraine. I mean, it's one country screwing their neighbor who they didn't like the regime. That's what Russia was doing. No, but it wasn't really the money. But Ukraine was at that point completely co-opted by our oil people.
Yeah, we're going to send all those tankers. Whatever happened to that? LNG, liquid natural gas.
Lord knows.
What happened to that?
Yeah, Lord knows.
All right, well, I've got a little separate kind of a thing to report on.
Okay.
This is, you're familiar with Trooping the Color?
Trooping the Color? That's something to do with the flag?
No.
Trooping the Color.
And you lived in England. Trooping the Color apparently is a day that the Queen celebrates her birthday. Even though it's not her birthday, she gets to celebrate twice.
Today is the day that Queen Elizabeth officially celebrates her birthday, which is actually in April. But it is known as the Trooping the Color. And while she's a big deal, some newlyweds might be stealing the spotlight. And ABC's Julia McFarlane joins us from Buckingham Palace with more. Julia, good morning to you.
Good morning, Paul Inwood. Yeah, as you can see, huge crowd here this morning. People have been queuing for hours, not just to celebrate the Queen, but also to try and catch a glimpse of our new American Duchess. Royal watchers.
Oh, yeah. No, I know I already have one in the borderline, but I'm giving you full on for that. Genius. Clip of the day. And I'm taking bets. How long before Meghan cracks?
She's got to crack.
It's going to be public. She's going to crack in public. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think she knows what she's...
tough load. They're going to drug her up to keep her going.
A tough load. I don't think she knows what she signed up for.
No, I don't think so either.
But it's I can just see it.
And unless she is a lizard like the rest of them, then she can't work this much.
It's possible.
Mammals just can't handle the load.
It's very possible. Yes, go ahead.
I just found them fawning. This is ABC fawning all over this event that I never heard of. You lived in England and you never heard of it.
No, I don't. Guy Fawkes Day, I know, but I don't know about Trooping the Color.
Meanwhile, they won't explain what the 270% tariff is all about. I mean, they're just ridiculous, these guys.
That really stuck in your craw, isn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Hey, just for a second, I'd just like to talk about the Politico, BuzzFeed, New York Times reporter who was having a relationship, it turns out extramarital affair for him with the Senate aide who was in charge of the Senate Intelligence Committee to make sure the stuff doesn't leak out. And so this brings up an interesting question, and I don't know the answer. We're missing some information. But on one hand, wow, this is fantastic. This is, I mean, it's like a house of cards where you have this being leaked to a journalist the guy's sleeping with. Holy moly. On the other hand,
that's never happened before.
No, it happens all the time. And that's the problem, because the press, the M5M, I should say, is barely reporting on this. And if they do, it's not from any collusion or anything like that.
Any collusion?
They look at it from a perspective of, oh, crap. They are wiretapping journalists to find out who their sources are. And I understand that to me is also a problem. Now, if they were wiretapping this guy and that's how they found out, okay, then I think that's fair game. The guy's working for the government. He has to follow the rules. That's his job. And then as with any job, you can eavesdrop on your employees within the professional sphere. But you see
within the law.
Yes, but you see the M5M freaking out because they're probably all thinking, "Oh shit, I'm boning that guy," or whatever they're thinking. Because the news has become sources, people familiar with the matter, people familiar with his thinking. It's become, sources who would only speak on the basis of anonymity because they weren't authorized to speak on the topic. That's what news has become. That used to be you had to have, wasn't it 2 2 people on record for a story to print? 2 sources on record for a story to go to print?
Well, that's a myth, I believe. Okay. I think it's a myth.
How about one source?
Well,
no. He spoke on background.
You should have a really. If you have a source that's impeccable, you can use that. If you could, they usually. Who is this guy? He owns the place. Okay.
Well, regardless, I would like to know, and I guess you don't know either. I'd like to know, were they wiretapping this guy, and that's how they found out that he was talking to the journalists, and whether he's sleeping with or not is irrelevant. Or are they just wiretapping journalists? Because that I have a real problem with. That's wiretapping any American for any reason other than probable cause.
I would suspect. I don't know. It's a good question. Whether they may. Generally speaking, I think if you have 2 suspects, you wiretap them both.
Okay, so yes, I mean, if you have probable cause or a reason to get a warrant to wiretap, sure.
Yeah.
So they must have had that. If they didn't, then I have a real problem with that.
Well, everything's gotten loosey-goosey since Bush. But, yeah. I don't know what to say.
Well, Obama was throwing journalists in jail.
Yeah, he was the worst for this sort of
I don't know if he was the worst, but we've had bad ones in the past. So, no, I wouldn't say he's the worst. But
I think for whistleblowers and journalists, I think he's the worst.
Okay. Big rally in the UK's, the Free Tommy Robinson March.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty big crowd. Geert Wilders was the star attraction. Our Dutch Donald Trump, as he's called.
How'd they let him in?
Well, he tweeted about that, and he said, I was at the border, and they said, why are you here? He says, I'm here to give a speech. He said, what is the speech about? To free Tommy Robinson. And he said, 5 minutes later, we were let into the country.
This makes no sense. They took that Canadian woman.
I know.
And wouldn't let her in.
I know.
I wonder what that's all about.
Mm-hmm. Fishy.
Very fishy.
And then I have, yes, this was kind of an interesting podcast. It's the hostess speaks of episode 3 here, so it's on YouTube, but I think it's podcast worthy in a way. It's just her talking, very young girl, and this relates to the Lear Foundation, the Hollywood indoctrination crew.
Oh yeah,
known as HIC. And the Hollywood indoctrination crew writes hundreds of scripts and storylines to get certain things into television, plot lines for movies, etc. And now this millennial, and I'm just going to call her millennial because she is, but I use that in a disdainful way in this case. She is an expert in many, many things, and she's going to tell us, without her knowing it, she's going to tell us exactly how cool it is what the Lear Foundation is doing.
Global warming is changing horror movies, and it's not likely to stop anytime soon. Hello, I'm Jenna. I have a master's degree in media and culture, and I've spent years studying horror media and video game cultures and living on this planet. 3 things I love to do, which is why I, like many, are concerned about the increasingly irreversible damage we're doing to the planet. What does that have to do with horror? Well, we're seeing the growth of an entirely new subgenre of horror, which isn't necessarily unusual. Genres are created and abandoned all the time in connection with societal changes. Like in the mid-20th century when every TV show and movie was a Western. Or last year when every movie was a superhero film. Right now, we're seeing the emergence of eco-horror, stories in which the planet itself is the monster.
I love that she has a master's in media and culture.
From what? From what fine institution? She didn't say.
No, she didn't. But she has one. And there you go, John. It's eco-horror. It's a whole new genre.
Yeah, what are they going to do about these mud flats?
There you go. I'll give you one more until we hit the break.
Well, I did make a phone call. Oh. No, I'm sorry if I made a phone call for the first time ever. No, I got a phone call. You have to let this play out. There is a pause in here that is in there. I just thought I'd leave it in there for timing purposes.
Okay. I'm excited now. I can't wait to hear what this is.
Well, it's not one of my best. I have some other stuff lined up because apparently Jay and the other kids have been getting the cell phones have been breached, and so they're getting phone calls constantly, and they can report them.
Yeah.
So let's go with hearing aid call.
Oh, good.
Hello.
Hi, this is Melissa from the National Hearing Center, and I'm excited to speak with people in your area who may suffer from hearing loss about a revolutionary offer. Our partners can now offer a pair of hearing aids at lower prices than ever before, and this includes a full 45 days risk-free for you to try them out. 0% financing may be available as well. Do you have trouble hearing in certain situations and want to avoid paying retail for hearing aids?
No. Hello? Hello?
I thought you were going to say, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
That was the joke that came to mind.
Well, it is.
Everyone has that joke. I'm ready for that joke. I would have done that, but I just wanted to play this thing straight, and then it was a stealth hang-up.
It was a shitty bot. That was a shitty shit bot. You know, it is apropos because I am in the market for hearing aids. You can believe it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's gone that bad?
Yes. And man, let me tell you, hearing aid technology is unbelievable.
I understand that.
They've all got onboard DSP, so you can completely filter and they're almost invisible, some of them, or you can get ones that are made to look cool and they're big and they have cool shape. And the Bluetooth, you can hook into Bluetooth with these things, but whoa, expensive. And don't for a second believe that my insurance covers anything but, a big brown shiny plastic
clunker from the 50s
headgear. But
couple of headphones.
But I've considered that too, But
so before we hit the break, what is the price on one of these little superstars? DSP?
Oh, you're talking $5,000.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah, $5,000 at least.
And the insurance company won't even kick in a few hundred?
Oh, a few hundred, sure. Well, I have a $20,000 deductible.
Oh, so you get nothing.
Oh, but I really need it because here, you and me are at home. Say something to me.
Hey, Adam, what are you doing?
I'm sorry? What?
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. I'm just doing the show. I mean, that's me. I'm always replying, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. I'm trying to be nice about it. Huh? Which I'm sure eventually I'll do when I'm older. Huh? Yeah, that sucks. This is some interesting... Yeah,
I think you can buy those big horns that you stick in your ear for very little money.
Yeah, with a leather thong so I can hang them around my neck. Dynamite.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
That's a lesson for everybody. Kids, don't go into radio.
That's right.
We do have a few people to thank for show 1041, and I'll begin by thanking a few of them. And you can read along in the notes, and if there's anything we should stop me.
All right.
Start with William Rowland in Veradale, Washington, 13334. Ron Link in Holbrook, New York, 11612. Von Glitchka, 11111. The show gets 3 thumbs up, he says.
And he has a douchebag call out for Daniel G. in Portlandia. Douchebag. He's never donated, he says.
Daniel G. Josh Mandel in Greenville, South Carolina. 10101. James Zuckel, $100 even. Donations belated. It's in favor of the show. Sir Rob, that's Sir Rob that says that. Sir Rob, Knight of the Philanthropic, spelled with an F, Shareholders Federation, 8338. Timothy Crow, 8008.
Boop.
Sir Milkman, boss, 7777. Andrew Shuring in Chesterfield, Missouri, 75. Sir Brian Green of Hams with his monthly 7373 from Schaumburg, Illinois, 73's KC9YJM.
73's Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie. Looking at that new Kenwood TH74A. The APRS and D-Star. Yum.
Sir Kevin McLaughlin in Locust, North Carolina, 6969. Yesterday was 69 day. 69.
Oh, June 9th. Oh, another misser.
Another miss. Thank you. Blame me. Baron Mark Tanner in Whittier, California, 6666. Twice a month. John of Jupiter, 6418. Do we have a birthday thing on him?
We sure do.
Emily's coming up.
Yep.
Dame. What's this? This is a blank line.
Interesting. I also have a blank line there. Huh. What is this?
Well, he's in Taiwan, so it probably came in as Chinese characters in Tainan City.
It was written in invisible ink. Wait, let me spray some lemon juice on my screen.
Yeah, I know I'm a little late for the vote, but better late than never. Your clip show was a good reminder of all the timeless gems.
Okay, we're sorry we don't know your name.
Whoever you are,
yes,
send us a note. We'll just mention your name out of the blue.
Seshan Wu.
Dame Serenity, $55. Tricia LaCour in Bangor, Pennsylvania, $51.38. She did send a note that I thought might be worth reading. Let me grab it.
Okay.
Actually, I believe she sent a card.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we love our cards.
Yeah, they got a lot of cards. I was getting nothing for months, and then I bitched. And cards
started flowing in. Yes. Apparently, Costco is now selling hearing aids. When you're there on Thursday, can you take a look for me?
I will.
Yes, thank you.
I'll get you some prices.
Yeah, price me out.
After you explained about checks, I'm in. I love the old-fashioned way of pinning a note. My husband got me into the show. This is nice, and it helped me understand the world for what it is. Thank you. I'm an occupational therapist doctoral student at Missouri. I don't know where.
MSU?
No. Misericordia, something Cordia. I don't know. The last class I'm taking is on policy. The awareness I have gained from listening to your deconstructions have led me to have the courage to deconstruct a bill not supported by my professional organization.
Ooh.
And she gets into fights now. It's clear that the organization is in Dimension B.
Oh.
Yikes.
Careful.
I'm learning now to do advocacy for what? Anyway, she goes on. It's very interesting that she's been affected, possibly. And her daughter's in the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
She may wind up changing the course of that company. That's very exciting.
Let's hope she does.
Yes, I like that.
She'll be in Hawaii for his daughter's Make-A-Wish trip. So she needs some travel karma. We'll put that at the end
for sure.
Onward. Where was I? Tricia LaCour. And she dropped 51.38. Michael Cotterill.
Whoa. She dropped? Seriously?
I said that. I know. I'm sorry I said it. When I said it, I felt very bad. I was hoping to blow past it.
No way, bro.
Quickly said bro before hearing Michael Cotterill's name in Athens, Georgia. Also 50. Oh, he actually 50.38, a buck less. He got this first. Let's de-douche him for first-time donor.
You've been de-douched.
He says, this, by the way, I want to read from this note. He says, well, I don't always agree with y'all's stance on certain issues. I appreciate the transparency and bluntness of your construction commentary. What he means is he's all in on global warming.
Probably.
Villarreal, that's right. That's what it always means.
Okay.
Villarreal, and Mercedes, Texas, 50.38.
Kilo Delta 5 Alpha Tango X-Ray, 73s.
And he had a kind of an interesting note. It's just short. But he's got his call letters there. This is the card. Yeah, another card. So cards get read. So people send cards, you can probably get read. This will go to my wife's damehood, which is nice. Sorry for the messiness of my writing. It's written on my chest in the car in front of the post office. Thanks for the effort. You guys rock.
What was it?
Enjoyed. What?
What was written on it?
This card I'm reading.
Uh-huh.
It's just all scribbly. You got, because he keeps writing it on his chest. He says, "I don't know."
Okay. He's writing the card on his chest. Got it.
Yeah, you guys rock. I totally have enjoyed your show, and it does my beautiful wife. I hope you guys never go away.
Oh, eventually we'll die.
That's something. We do read cards. Cards are great. And now I'm going to read people's names and locations if they gave $50 or more. Starting with Drew Mochak in El Cerrito, California, right down the street from me. He's got to come to the California meetup. Daniel Vasquez in Sandy, Oregon. Robert Dacanay in Fairfax, Virginia. Dan During in Eola, Missouri. Tyson Blondal in parts unknown. Larry Hay in Mooresville, North Carolina. And last but not least, it's actually a very short list today, Kyle Meyer in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to thank all these folks for contributing to the show 1021, helping us produce it.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is how it works in our value. I actually had a little tweet back and forth with Jason Calacanis last night.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, he said something about, well, why can't we just have a YouTube competitor that will pay creators 70%? And I said, dude, because you can't monetize the network and no advertiser will want to be there because it's not brand safe. He liked my tweet.
And that royalty is outrageously high.
Yes.
Everyone who tries to do, I'm going to give you some rundowns on royalties. If you guys, you want to you get a lot of money for your work, self-publish, just start your own company. Don't give it to anybody. It's very hard to make any money when royalties are that even high. 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50%, those split. I'm going to split.
Split 50-50 split.
You can't do it unless you're both doing half the work. Now, and if you're going to just write a book for somebody and give it to them, you've written the book, but really most of the work is selling the book. So you can't do it. That's why book publishers don't do 50-50. If you get 15%, you're lucky. 30% would be a very high royalty for somebody who was, getting who had other things to offer, like if you were Barack Obama, you can get like really high royalty because it's more than just a book.
Because you are royalty.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, whoa,
whoa!
I saw what you did.
Uh-huh.
So Calacanis in the 75% thing is that right away is not going to fly.
Well, my stance. It doesn't work. You can't monetize the network. Forget about it.
You had a different reason. My reason is that's not good. The numbers don't work.
Gotcha. So. However, this system is working for us, and we really appreciate it. This was everybody $50 and over. Most under 50 do that for reasons of anonymity. Also, people on our subscriptions. There's one page. You can go and check it all out, and I would like you to do that for our next broadcast, which will be on Thursday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. We have some karma to give out.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's your birthday.
Your No Agenda birthday list for today. It is June 10th. John of Jupiter says, welcome, new human resource Emily. She was born on June 4th, and we look forward to her joining the No Agenda community and family. Trent Perkins turned 30 on June 7th. Bo Brown celebrating today. Rachel and Daniel Vasquez say happy birthday to Sean McKechnie, I should say, and he is also celebrating today. Happy birthday from all your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
Then we have 3 nightings today, so this is good. It's a good day. Haven't had that in a while. Your blade, sir.
Got it.
Where? Oh, I see it. Yes, good. On stage, please, Jake Lester, Bo Brown, and Lauren Bureau. Join us, gentlemen, as you have all contributed to the No Agenda podcast, the amount of $1,000 or more. That gives you a seat at the coveted Knight and Dame round table. So I hereby pronounce-icate thee Sir Jake Knight of the Mechanical Malfeasance, Sir Burgess of the Ozarks, and Sir Agent Provocateur. Gentlemen, for you I have Parliaments of Pale Ale, Wafus and Waffles, Steel Reserve and Black Milds, Pog and Poi, Dame Elise's Limoncello and Salmon, Rabbit Meat and Goat Milk, Dr. Pepper and a Quick Handy, Boobs and Stinky Tofu, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Geishas and Sake, Cowgirls and Coffin Varnish, and Mutton and Mead. And that is noagendanation.com/rings, where you can hand Eric the Shield all of your info. We'll get the rings out to you as soon as possible.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
One title change. This is an upgrade in her peerage. Dame Susan Johnson today becomes a baronetess, and that, of course, will eventually be reflected on our peerage map at itm.im/peerage. And thank you very much, Dame Susan Johnson. And thank everybody for supporting us here at the No Agenda Show. You had a column, which I do read. I like reading your columns.
Well, thank you.
Yes, it was about laptops in school and the famous one laptop per child. That was good, and I like that you brought it back, particularly now. Although you, in a way, you could have brought in the Raspberry Pi. I thought that would have been interesting, seeing as there's a full-blown computer for $35. But yeah, the big fuss about one laptop per child. But your basic takeaway was, having a place where kids can use a computer to learn how to program or other, how to assess information online is good. But you are very strong, and I think you have evidence to back it up, that having the kids use computers to learn on is not a good idea. Am I phrasing that right?
That's a position I've maintained ever since the days of the controlled data teaching machines, which they had a bank of at California State College Hayward, which has now become California State College Bay Area, in one of the basements. And you could go, and if you wanted to take a course in something or other, you could go to this data center of these crazy teaching machines, they were called. And they didn't work. I mean, they worked to a point it was a slow process. There's nothing like having a real person there that you can say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain it? And have them show you. Having people show people how to do things is so much faster, and it's so much more effective. In fact, the other day I was looking at there was some new term that came along, and it was trying to explain something. I could look it up. I could read 10 pages and maybe figure it out. I called one of my friends who was an expert in the field and just had him explain it to me. It took 5 minutes. That is the way you learn.
Yeah, and also having computers with course material, which is click through, select multiple choice, et cetera, is not helpful in the learning process.
That would be a claim I'd make.
Yeah.
I mean, it's helpful at some, it's nice that you, for example, we all use Bing or Google to, you get some situation like, how do I unscrew this thing from my, and you say, how do you unscrew a such and such from a such and such? And you find there's always a YouTube video, sometimes 10 of them, or some guy showing you how to unscrew.
That's a different column. Yeah, I read that one too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this serendipitously led me to an interview that I caught on David Knight's show. David Knight is here in Austin. And he had a school teacher on who was talking about Google's school projects, what they're putting into schools with Chromebooks. And it led me to something else, which is perhaps a more important topic. But I'll just start with that one little bit of the interview.
The Google Education Suite is pretty all-encompassing to the point where there was one day where I attempted to open a different search browser and it blocked my access to a search that was not Google. The students are funneled through Google Chromebooks to use Google Docs. That's how they do the majority of their assignments is via Google. We have an entire education program called Google Classroom where we are able to communicate and post assignments to students and communicate with teachers. As soon as parents start hearing that Striving Readers is the name of the program, that for some reason they associate giving schools hundreds of Chromebooks with an improvement in reading because they say that students can access reading materials via these Chromebooks, but of course we know they're accessing YouTube. And as soon as you hear the name Striving Readers and Chromebooks, that's when you know that the school is going textbook free.
And we know that the Google Books project would fold into that nicely.
Yeah.
Apple did a lot of this back in the day. They had their K-12 program. Do they still have that? Is that still around?
I don't know. They they came on and off of it. They were dominating education for a long time. I think they bailed.
Yeah, they did. But now, I mean, and a Chromebook is so cheap to manufacture. This, you can practically give them away. But these stupid school systems, they're just making little Google slaves. And this led me, yes?
There's a lot of dummies running a lot of these operations.
In education? Yeah. Well, this led me to the PBIS, which this woman spoke about, this teacher. Have you ever heard of PBIS?
Not yet.
Positive Behavioral Intervention and Supports. positive behavioral intervention and supports. This is rampant at school.
This comes out of the U.S. Department of Education, which doesn't surprise me.
Sure does. In fact, we also have SWPBS, which is school-wide positive behavior supports. And she spoke about it.
We participate in a program that is nationwide called PBIS, which is Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. I've already researched, and Stoneman Douglas is a PBIS school. This is in a lot of schools in the nation, and it should be the scariest thing a parent hears when they're researching their child's school. PBIS is a rewards-based system, and it individualizes consequences based on culture, race, and background. For example, if I were to come from a family that has a lot of personal issues inside the family, but I punch another student in the face, they could take into account my race, my family history, and apply consequences based on where I come from.
So you get a free pass, in other words, right?
Yes. I've actually sat in meetings where they described poverty as a trauma and explained that these children are not able to control themselves because while they were in utero, their amygdala was too stressed and now they have damage and we can't apply consequences to them because essentially they're brain damaged.
Oh, how mind-blowing is that?
Damn it, you get a third clip of the day.
Oh, my. To me, it was so distressing when I heard this. Like, this is
another Common Core scam. This is beyond.
Clip of the day.
This is self-actualization. What is the positive reinforcement. This is everything that's bad about everything, about the educational system, brainwashing the kids, rolled into one new program.
Yes, PBIS from their own website, from their facts.
There are many assumptions about behavior. Many believe the behavior is innate. But behavior is a skill. It must be learned and is acquired through practice. Typically, when a child does not know how to do something, we tend to teach them. At home, if a child does not know how to tie their shoes or ride a bike, we teach them. We don't just state, tie your shoes or get on the bike. We provide specific instructions, we model the behavior, we let them practice, and we provide support until the skill is learned. In school, if a student can't read or do math, we teach them. We don't assume that a child should know how to read or do math. It is clear that this is a skill that must be taught and learned. Similarly, if a student can't behave, we must teach them the appropriate skill in order to help them be successful behaviorally. A student will behave appropriately if the student has the skill to behave appropriately. We will show you how to develop a system that will teach all students the skills needed to behave appropriately in school.
Oh, that music. Where's my Shantix? So, that's how they're thinking. Your child must learn how to behave.
Yeah, but if you start off with okay, fine. Well, the schools do actually have always done that. It's not needing a special program.
Right.
But when you start to assume immediately that if you're from a lower class or you're poverty, kid from poverty, and you automatically assume, this is a sociological thing that seems to me that sociologists out there should be freaked out by. You calling somebody brain damaged.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden they're the retarded. There's a new version of the retarded kids from the 50s.
Yep.
So all the black kids are all going to be thought this is just racism. Racism.
Well,
now all the black kids are going to be thought of, no matter, even if they're not from poverty stricken, they're one mom home or something. It's all brain damage. All the black kids will be seen as inferior. This is unbelievable. Inferior brain damaged kids that, he has to punch. That's what he does. He punches people because he's brain damaged. They're doing nothing to stop bad behavior or showing creating discipline. It's always been a known fact that certain kids from that category of, that are not fully enriched, an unenriched home environment, they do much better under black teachers who are disciplinarians.
Well, this is
but you don't just assume they're idiots.
Well, what you just said there, I think, ties into what is happening right now in New York. As there's a number of, I think that in this report, there's 12 high schools, which are specialized for smart kids. It's like the Stuyvesant High School of Science.
We had Lowell High in San Francisco, and then of course, yes, New York had a slew of, because they had a school for the arts, a school for the young scientists. They had all these specialty schools for the super smart kids.
While this is not specifically PBIS related, it is the same thinking, what you just said.
We have to make sure the very best high schools.
This is Mayor de Blasio of New York City.
Schools are open to every New Yorker.
The mayor and new schools chancellor, Richard Carranza, announcing new plans to make admissions into the city's 8 specialized high schools more open, more diversified, and fairer to all students.
How could it be that we have a system that denies the full array of the beautiful students in our system an opportunity to avail themselves of these kinds of educational experiences?
The mayor even pointed to one glaring example, Stuyvesant High School.
Admitted almost 1,000 students last time. 10 were African American.
Shame.
1%.
Shame.
1%.
Shame.
Under 30 were Latino.
Beginning with admissions for September 2019, the plan calls for expanding the Discovery Program to help more disadvantaged students. It also calls for eliminating the use of the single admissions test over the next 3 years. That will take special state legislation. Even past students believe the specialized high school experience should be open to more students.
I did have a great experience at Bronx Science. It put me on the path to where I am today, definitely. But it's no joke how few Black and Latino students there were.
The new plan also builds on a previous report by public officials making recommendations to address historical inequities in specialized high schools.
Do you join me in saying it's the system, not the student?
It's the system, not the student.
Is it the system, not the student?
It's the system, not the student.
So we must change that today.
Yes, it's the system, not the student. It's the system, not the student.
Which is what that Professor Peterson talks about.
Mm-hmm.
When he gives his lectures on this. I do have a long piece that kind of fits into this if you want to play it.
Sure.
But it's from the last show, so you have to dig it up.
Oh, okay. I can do that probably.
And it is about he discusses some of this, but he does it in a very harsh way that no one's ever going to buy into. And he talks about differential in IQ and how you can sort people out. And he believes that the Republicans' approach to smart versus dumb is that just make them work harder. And the Democrats is that's bullcrap. There is no smart versus dumb. Everyone's the same. Which is what you just clipped.
Messenger, factory production worker, assembler, food service worker, nurse's aide, warehouseman, custodian, janitor, material handler.
He's comparing
packer.
IQs.
Now, what you're starting to see is that as you move down the hierarchy, the jobs get simpler. They're more likely to be assigned by other people, or they're repetitive. Because what IQ predicts to some degree is how rapidly you can learn something, but once you've learned it, it doesn't predict necessarily how well you do at it. And so the more repetitive jobs people with lower IQs are more suited to more repetitive jobs. Under 87, is there something? Well, no. Right. That's a big problem. And it's something our society has not addressed at all. Jobs for people with IQs of less than 85 are very, very rare. So what the hell are those people supposed to do? It's 15% of the population. What are they supposed to do? Well, we better figure it out, because one of the things that's happening too is that as the high IQ tech geeks get a hold of the world, the demand for cognitive power is increasing, not decreasing, right? You want to be a teller? Well, those checkout machines, they're not so simple. You want to work at McDonald's? You think that's a simple job? You don't see robots working at McDonald's. And the reason for that is that what McDonald's workers do is too complex for robots to do. So this is a discussion that no one wants to have, but that's okay. It's still a problem, and it has to be dealt with. So the U.S. government, I think I told you this at one point already, it's illegal to induct anyone into the U.S. Army if they have an IQ of less than 83. Right? It's about 10% of the population. Because the U.S. Army, and they've been doing IQ testing since IQ testing began, because they want everybody they can possibly get into the Army. Because in peacetime, They use it as a way of moving people up the socioeconomic ladder. And in wartime, well, obviously, you need as many soldiers as you can get your hands on. And so you're not going to be any pickier than you have to be. So when the U.S. Army says it's illegal to induct anybody into the armed forces if they have an IQ of less than 83, then you know that they've done it for absolute necessity, right? And when people have made a finding that contradicts what they want to hear and they're doing it out of absolute necessity, you can be reasonably true that it's one of those facts that just won't bloody well go away. And so you might think, well, if there's nothing for someone with an IQ of less than 83 to do in the Army, what makes you think that there's something that they can do in the general population? And then the issue is, because the Conservatives will say, well, they should just work harder. It's like, sorry, that ain't going to fly. And the Liberals will say, well, there's no difference between people anyhow. And you can just train people to do everything. And that's wrong. So they're both wrong. And they're seriously wrong. And the fact that neither side of the political perspective will take a good, cold, hard look at this problem means that we're going to increasingly have a structural problem in our societies because we're complexifying everything so rapidly that you can't find employment unless you're intelligent. You guys are really going to face this, Lawyers are disappearing like mad. And the reason for that is you can look it up online. Increasingly, you can do things yourself if you're smart. And so, like, the working class people have been wiped out pretty nicely over the last 30 years by automation and various other things. It's the low end of the white-collar class that's coming up next. So I'm not saying that lawyers are in the low end, but low-end lawyers are in the low end of the white-collar class. So there's still going to be plenty of positions for people who are creative and fast on their feet and super smart. In fact, those people are going to have all the money, and that's already happening to a great degree. Because if you're smart and you can use a computer, you're so smart it's just absolutely unbelievable, right? And if you can't use a computer, and lots of people, and I don't mean, you can open Word. That isn't what I mean. I mean you can program, and if you can't program, well, you're right at the next end. So if you haven't got that with you, you're going to be left behind.
Nice uplifting little ditty.
Thank you. Thank you for your courage.
I'll tell you, what he says, it's true. He is coming to us from the future, it sounds like.
Well, there's an issue, and de Blasio is going right in the face of it and denying it to such an extreme that he's taken these specialized schools, which were beneficial to certain kids for obvious reasons, and he's just opened them up to the 82 IQ folk.
Yeah.
And the problem is that there's nobody wants to deal with them. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to get them work. They don't know. They can't find anything for them to do. There are a lot of part, not everybody, but a good portion of the homeless population are these people.
Yeah.
And we just ignore it. And I think he's dead right. He says the conservatives say, make them work harder, and the liberals say, oh no, they can be trained because everybody's the same as a blank slate. Common argument in your college years.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true.
Well,
so this is a mess, and this PBIS thing is bull crap.
Yeah, it seems pretty rampant, though. Seems like it's pretty well ingrained.
Because it's a Harry. Oh, this is good. I got to write that one down. It's a Harry Mary. It's a Hail Mary.
Harry Mary. That really fits in today's world.
Yeah,
I'm a Harry Mary.
I'm going to use that from now on.
Well, Newark has an idea. Newark, New Jersey, close to my old stomping grounds. They're putting residents to work. Listen to this.
Yeah. There are currently 60 cameras in place throughout the city, keeping a close eye on criminal activity. Now residents can get access to these cameras and watch what is taking place in their neighborhood. The hope is that residents will actively help police keep the streets safe.
It gives us a chance to get real-time data about stuff that is going on in a neighborhood and get residents of that community to feel empowered by engaging and helping us reduce crime and violence in their neighborhood at the same time.
The number of cameras are expected to double by the 1st of October. Then another 200 will be added to the system. These are new high-definition cameras that can show fine details. Police will be monitoring the cameras and focus on those hot spots when residents call.
We definitely can't do it alone. We need the residents of the city.
Newark residents can now log on to the website at npdnewarkpublicsafety.org and go to the link marked Citizens Patrol to gain access to the city's cameras. For now, the system is available for those with desktop computers and iPads.
Police need help. Yeah, you gotta help them.
This is genius. Get the citizens all jacked up to spy on each other.
That's fabulous.
That's the best way ever.
They've tested, by the way. They have done tests. I saw the results of this, where they put somebody in one of these rooms as they be a security officer, and they're supposed to look out for burglaries. And so they set him up. So one of the screens had some girl that through an open window stripping. And then 4 screens over was a burglar going into a house and robbing the place.
Yeah, no one's watching that.
Nobody's watching the burglar.
Look at that booty, man. Come on. I'll tell you. All right.
Yeah, it's gone downhill.
That's how you end a show. That's the high note.
Yeah.
But we return on Thursday for another edition of your bi- or twice weekly media deconstruction. Please remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. And we'll see how John's bionic eye is doing. We might have some Chonies information. And, I have something else that I just remembered. I'll write that down. It's going to be good Thursday. Until then, coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA, Region 6 on all governmental maps, in the 5x9 Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's bright out. Of course, my eyes are dilated. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofo! I need a cab.
You know if you're going to like somebody in the first 5 seconds, within the first minute. I'll know. Just my touch, my feel. That's what I do. Tell that to your fake friends at CNN. We win that war 1,000 times out of 1,000. Soon it's going to be the best ever in its history, in the country's history. It's going to change. It's going to change. I mean, it's not a question of, I hope it changes. It's going to change 100%. It's a one-time shot. Threesome deal with Canada, with the United States and Mexico. And I think we're going to come out fine. I guess they're going to go back to the drawing board and check it out, right? Well, if they retaliate, they're making a mistake. When I'm telling them, they're smiling at me. You know, it's like we're like the piggy bank that everybody's robbing. In my heart, we're going to be carrying the hearts of millions of people.
If you're going to spray, get some cooks.
By the way, it's called popping bottles. Popping bottles in the club. Popping bottles in the club.
Crystal, Dom Perignon, Dom.
Popping bottles in the club.
If you're going to spray, get some cooks.
It's called. Popping bottles.
Crystal, Dom Perignon, Dom.
Bottles in the club. Bottles in the club. Popping bottles in the club.
Everyone's crazy about a dude named Ben.
It's the people's coin, created by geeks, and you can see it double or half in a week. That's why I'll never be money. No, it'll never be money. Honey, you don't believe me? You can count the days to the crash. Well, now if everyone buys, we'll all be free. But the government law doesn't want it to be. That's why I'll never be money. No, it'll never be money. Honey, you don't believe me? You can count the days to the crash. I got the Bitcoin blue.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
AB. That's right.
Mental.